Hello, welcome Hellfire Tactics community to the Winter Invitational 2022. I need to mute my own stream or I'm going to be hearing myself. I am the Lord Bonk and I'm joined by a wonderful co-host who's going to introduce themselves right now.
Hey, Gabriel here. We got some exciting games lined up. Get pretty excited to co-host here with the Lord Bonk. And yeah, we're going to be casting Group A first for the first game, and then we're going to be casting Group B for the second game. In Group A, you can probably see it on the screen here, but we got Alex Weiss, Hasu Cat, Howdy Do, Robs, Theed, Yaha, HT1992, and Lul Ninko.
And it's going to be an exciting group to watch. We will move on over to Group B. We'll do a little player plug there as well when we get there. But in Group A, I'm not familiar with a ton of these players, but I did get to see some of the action yesterday. And honestly, I think we're in the same boat here, Gabriel, of a lot of players are doing stuff we did not expect. I'm pretty sure I was on the boat of tempo. That's how I've played tournaments like this in the past. What do you think we're going to see out of some of Group A plays coming into this?
Absolutely, yeah. Day one really just surprised me across the board with what was going to be successful. So, that being said, whatever I expect here probably is not going to happen, but I guess in the back of my mind, I still expect tempo to be king, but it could be anything. I saw a Zeroth one yesterday, for example. I never would have expected that in these tournament games. So I'm expecting the unexpected.
Yes, for sure. These are all great players, whether you recognize the names or not. They are putting in work on ladder. They all got GM, and I feel like they all got GM quite early too. So they're good players. They're experienced. I know as a community, Hellfire Tactics is coming together. We're still figuring out metas, but I think one of the biggest pivot points for these players are going to be, we need to see what gets banned. I mean, that's going to take some of the archdemons out of the pool entirely. I think we're also going to see people prioritize their archdemon picks differently based on what's available. I know you're really big on a couple of the clans like Coven and Eldritch, I think, change a lot of decision-making process when thinking about archdemons. And then in my brain, you also have the big three of rats, greeners, and demons to look out for. They're, groupings that work together really well and can almost be an auto-build sort of thing. So, really excited to see what gets banned out and how the players react to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a great point you touched on there. Depending, especially with Coven and Eldritch, those bans can really change, especially the end game. If there's no Knowledge Fiend, you can be probably safe in a lot of games to try to just hyperscale even just one unit, and there's going to be a tough time countering that unless maybe you can make like a giant offensive elemental board or something along those lines.
Yeah, very true. And Elementals, I think, another one to watch. I mean, there's a lot of large units in there. I think with Elementals getting banned out, we don't see a Gordo today. But, I mean, there's so many fun factors. It's one of the reasons why I think a lot of us keep coming back to Hellfire Tactics. You've got counters to counters. A lot of those counters, you're also in the same group, so you don't have to feel that sense of frustration when, oh no, they've got all the barriers. Well, guess what? Wardens are the barriers, and they have their own counter with it. So very excited to get into the action here. And for all of you in chat, thank you for being here, saying hi. This is the first Winter Invitational. We have a $1,000 prize pool on the table. But before we get the lobby set up, Gabriel, you want to walk us through kind of the tournament layout of today?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's going to be two games to start us off. We're going to catch Group A's first game and then Group B's second game. So they're going to be going kind of simultaneously there. And then after each group has played two games, we're going to take the top four from each group and go to the final 8. And in the final 8, we're going to go to the race format. The way the race format works is first place will earn you 8 points, second place will get you 7 points all the way on down. And you need to earn at least 10 points before you're what's considered live. And once you're live, if you then get first, you will be crowned the winner. And then, Beyond that, it'll just be the points to determine who's second, third place, and so on forth.
Very nice. And that's going to guarantee us, once we cut to the top 8, at least 3 rounds. No one will be able to qualify for the grand win, to be in the stable, as you will, to win in the second round. But there is also the chance of, if someone goes first or second in the first round and then goes 7th or 8th in the second round, they may still not be able to qualify for that round 3 potential grab of the win. But it's going to be some exciting action. Honestly, I love watching 8-player lobbies. I love watching this high-level decision-making coming out. We're going to see counters to counters. We're probably going to see some high rolls coming out. For your experienced players, there's going to be little things to pick up on that we'll all be able to watch and get better with. And for our newer players, there's going to be a ton that you're going to see, stuff that you haven't even thought of yet. It's going to be some real good, entertaining Hellfire games today.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing I can probably predict, is I predict a lot of lead changes based on what I've seen yesterday. A lot of those games, people that were nearly eliminated down to 7th or 6th place were able to stabilize right before, losing that final HP and actually win the lobby. So that's always exciting to see. I'm hoping we see a bit of that.
Yeah, I definitely had to bring in my own expectations while I was watching some of those replays. It always felt like in the mid-game, it was kind of your haves and have-nots. Those with over 30 HP and those with under 20 HP, that's how a lot of those lobbies break out. And then all of a sudden, 2 of the top players, they lose 2, 3, 4 rounds in a row, and now they're suddenly at the bottom. Turning the corner, as you say it, where we, get your established, all of a sudden you're on a winning streak round after round. Yeah, a couple of comebacks are easy, not easy to come across, but I think have a much higher chance with the level of caliber players we have.
Right, absolutely. A lot of these players have that, that never quit energy in them. That's always nice to see. Yeah.
As well as I think there are plenty of comeback mechanics. I know that on 4, we have artifacts such as promote, being able to get an upgraded unit without having to spend, another 4 or 10 mana in order to actually get it tripled up, can provide big power spikes. Those are some catch-up mechanics there. If anyone gets an early health potion, that might just give them enough health to live that extra couple of rounds, to find that last key piece to really put on the gas of a comp. The difference between one turn of greener scaling and the next could be the difference, and depending on who they play at that time too. So many factors. We're going to try and stay privy of all the action. For those of you out there who don't know, we will have the ability to jump around from board to board. So we are going to try and check in with as many of the players as we can, especially in the early game when turns are going fast. We want to see who's getting that early tempo, seeing how they can leverage it. I know things I'm looking for. I want to see who's picking up those sprouts early game. I want to see those early artifacts coming in. I want to see who's playing out the mana pest lines, trying to get that early econ going. I'm a huge econ player, so we've got lots of things to look for, lots of things to highlight, and we're getting pretty close into being able to jump in here. I see our lobby A is about half made, so we're hoping to start on time, as close to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we can.
Yeah, see the lobby forming here. Probably just a few cross some I's, dot some T's or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also going to just do some window management on my own. Lots of things to be keeping track of here. So, we're getting closer. We're walking it in. Hello, chat, Exasperated Cultist, Livy Live, Scarbo, all of you. We are so happy you can be here. And we're happy to be able to give out this money back to the community. It's a $1,000 prize pool. It does get split from first down to, I believe, 8th. I don't actually have those numbers in front of me. But also, a lot of these people that you see playing are also content creators. Go look them up on YouTube, go look them up on Twitch. We are creating our own big happy family here within the Hellfire Tactics community. A lot of familiar faces for me, people who've either come through my chat, your chat, possibly even here today, just seeing how things are getting set up. I see Exasperated Cultists coming into chat, popping in. Yep, 1 through 8th. There's the money breakdown. Thank you so much. So yeah, if you see a name, you see some of the crazy plays that they're going to bust out, look them up on Twitch, look them up on YouTube, try to give them a follow.
Yeah, and I definitely got to give props to Jez and Happiness for the system of support they've set up for streamers and content creators. I forget exactly what Happiness had called it, but there's basically that program you can sign up for if you are interested in streaming Hellfire Tactics, and it'll really help you get your stream kind of promoted once, if and when you do decide to stream the game yourself.
Yeah, so hitting some metrics and signing up in the Discord will get your name in the game and actually get your stream advertised. And I think that brings us up to another great point. Head to the Discord. It has some amazing resources. You can see people when they go live. You can see a lot of resources people talking about the game as a whole, as well as gem giveaways and all sorts of other things. But I believe we're getting into the action. Group A has been formed. They are now in the Archdemon selection. We're going to change our screen over probably once we get started. We don't, unfortunately, get to see someone who gets to pick what their Archdemons are, but we do get to see the bands. In Group A, we have Radican and Vampire band out. Gabriel, how do you think that's going to affect the early game?
Well, early game Rats is obviously a nice safe pick a lot of the time, so there might not be there's kind of this notion of playing with your heuristics, right? In a high pressure situation like a tournament, you might want to fall back on things that feel kind of safe to you. You might not have that now with Rat's band. Vampires is probably a little more all over the place. They're kind of present throughout the game, more in the mid games. You'll lose a Bloodsucker, you'll lose a Vampling. I don't think that changes up too much, but definitely the Rats is going to probably change up some players' comfort points. So it'll be interesting to see if that has any negative effects on anyone here.
Speaking of comfort points, really liking seeing these Archdemons. Let's just click around, see who's grabbing what. It looks like we have a Ground Sun already working on an Anemonaut, testing our speaking abilities. We got Lil Neko on Crowley, looking for some mage synergy. Let's stick out with this Coven. Already has a Wraith Insurance, and it's gonna pop early, round 1 against a Ground Sun.
Probably pretty happy to face a Ground Sun there with the Wraith Insurance.
Yeah, just get it popped, get it out of the way, get off to a electric start.
Yeah.
Turn to 7 mana, buy your 3 units, cast your spell, go rolling, do Coven things, and get another treasure.
Yeah, this is essentially as if you were a Brotusk and you just sold all 4 of your bananas, and yet now you still have an extra treasure choice moving forward. It's a pretty good deal.
And you still have an Archdemon power. I think that's part of the reason we're not seeing Brotusk in this lobby.
Right.
Some of the other Archdemons we do see, Osiricles, Silverbeak, free stats are free stats. Hausukat is on the Demonstra, though. Some interesting choices that are going to be made there. I like me a Demonstra. We'll go check out that board because I'm fascinated by how a Demonstra navigates the early game, because you want that power for level 4, right? When you start, or level 3, when you start seeing the 4 cost units.
And he's got a pretty good tempo set of treasures available here, it looks like. I think I definitely would agree with taking the fresh meat there. Problem with Demonstra can be sometimes losing a lot of health early and just dying before you can really get to the sort of juicy level 6 huge benefit that Demonstra gets, which is, you get pretty much a guaranteed level 7 treasure, or 7 cost treasure, since you're going to have that Hellfire Knight available in your pool.
Very true. And yeah, let's go check in on HT 1992 over on Guardian Zoe. Looks like they've already gotten some scaling. They've got their board is going to be shuffling around to spread out that Guardian Zoe buff. But they're coming in against Crowley, and let's see how it plays out. Both players running Mana Pests.
And Zoe will always be strong. It is probably worth noting that with the Rat Band, it loses a little bit of early game upside because it is pretty nice to put a unit that resummons in that 4th slot because it gets the barrier twice. But as we can see here, Zoe's still in a very strong position here.
But what's also kind of nice is with Rats gone, Osiricles can't do the same thing by putting Rats in slot 1. So as far as one Archdemon gets weaker, there are other Archdemons that get weaker. But we have Osiricles putting a Mana Pest in slot 1 with that first attack that should be perishing every time it goes in and kind of just staying up tempo. Yeah, the econ choices of our players, it seems like a lot of them have the same plan. Get the Mana Pest to get some extra mana early, fill out this board as quickly as possible, and it also looks like most of our players have an artifact already.
Right, and then also, the Osiricles player there had the double Automata up front setup, which kind of makes this wall of barriered units, which is a pretty strong move through level 2. It's very hard to lose fights when you have that, especially with the Rat Band. So now you don't have small tokens just popping those barriers. Looks like, wow, the Silverbeak already getting a pretty good board here together, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like 2 pairs as well as a treasure already. Coming from the Sprout, going to be a much more difficult unit to pair up. And it looks like we're starting to see that early divide. It looks like Ground Sun has actually taken a few losses, which I'm a little surprised at. But with some characters like Guardian Zoe and Osiricles in the lobby, there are ways to get over that massive health pool Ground Sun is bringing. Let's check in on our Raqua player. I don't think we've actually checked out their board yet.
Ooh, they got that big Mana Guardian.
Off to a very good start. Yeah, they're going to probably have to forego the Mana Pest tempo of Econ just to start getting more stats onto that Mana Guardian. That could see play on their end game board if they're able to find the magical units, keep that up in scaling.
Absolutely, yeah. With Elementals open and now this early Mana Guardian upgraded, this is about the best situation you can hope to be in with a Raqua. I guess the icing on the cake is even when the Mana Guardian dies, it's going to be safety helming back into a shade, upgraded shade nonetheless. So this Raqua definitely in a strong position here.
And super smart positioning. Fire Elemental behind 2 units that are getting you your spawns. We said we didn't have rats, but some of those plays still exist with things like Safety Helm, maybe even Captain later on in the game. So summons are never quite out of thought for these players.
Absolutely. And looks like the Raqua even picked up an additional Mana Guardian, so now every single time they buy and sell a 2-cost Elemental, they're getting a 3/3 worth of stats. Make that 4/4 worth of stats now.
Yeah, so, it's just going to keep going up. Let's check in over with our Ground Sun player. Something I don't think you're going to see often is a 24 health Ground Sun at this point in the game, but I think we can kind of see why. They are prioritizing some other things. This is going to be okay, we're giving up a little bit of our early game, trying to hit our stride in the mid game, and then punch through. They already have a lot of beasts. They already have a lot of tokens. They could be looking for a Hydrix out later, but we need to try and watch them to make sure they stay healthy enough.
It looks like they had the tough choice between the health vial or something like a hammer. That's always been one of the eternal questions that I've been trying to think about lately, is just getting health better, or do you end up saving more health by adding more stats to your board? It's a tough one to kind of suss out, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think players have really figured it out yet, solved it, shall we say, on which one is the better call.
And I think there's too many factors to make it just one solution. I think this Howdy on Ground Sun picked the right call of, you know what? every level Ground Sun gets, that's more HP available, thus more stats. Let's go with the health. Let's get that pool back up so that way we do stabilize in the mid game and we feel even better when we enter that late game. Wouldn't be surprised if they've stabilized now. This Anemonot is huge. We also now have an Earth Elemental scaling up here, and it looks like they're going to be benching these Dolish, giving up on the Great Bite route, which probably the right play here.
I wonder, does he go with the Bucky route for tempo, or does he take the Serpentina to maybe try to set up a game plan here?
Personally, I lean to the Bucky. It's so much more guaranteed. It's a little bit more economically friendly because, yeah, you might be getting these 4-cost spells. I'd also love to go check in on the Demonstra player. This is a very important turn for Demonstra. Houseu Cat's on the pilot. We have a couple of guardsmen already for demons. We have some extra damage synergy, but what they're going to be looking for are Imp Lords and Fire Slingers.
They are unfortunately running into a brick wall at the moment. Not the fight you probably want going into 3 here. Yeah. As a Demonstra player.
Yeah, none of the overkill damage that those guardsmen offer. It's kind of one of those feast or famine units of when you get the overkill, it feels amazing. You set up 2-for-1, sometimes even 3-for-1s, but running into that giant brick wall of Araqua Guardian unit, yeah, it's going to be hard to overcome. But still above 20 health. I in my brain, that 20 health marker is where I start to get a little bit of that panic of, okay, I can't make these greedy plays. No more mana pests. No more of these extra scaling. I just need to play strongest boards. So interesting to see what House Cat will do. Getting some unfortunate picks, but does find an artifact.
Yeah, I would have to think force multiplier with both these Buckies and potentially an Imp Lord in the future would be pretty... Oh, they go with the Arcane Offering. Interesting. I wonder what... Maybe they're looking for... Because Blood Mage is out of the pool. Maybe they're looking for an Elemental to add some health. That could be the thought there.
Yeah, an Ice Elemental could get this Guardsman sticking around a bit longer. Maybe also just the versatility of it. There are plenty of good Link units. You do have a good call out of, with Vampires being down, probably one of the best tempo characters is out of the pool.
Also, we see the Bucky just sort of the worst unit that you want to run into when you're running under Guardsmen, unfortunately. So we got 2 very unfortunate back-to-back matchups here for the Demonstra player, which is going to now leave them playing off their back foot, so to speak, which is always a tough spot to be in.
And it also looks off the back foot. If we want to check in on this Crowley player, they're also down. Ooh, that's a good hit for Houseu Cat, though. 2 flame bars before we tucked away. Here over in Crowley, though, we found where the demons have been going.
Yeah. Always great when you're on Demonstra to not find the demons.
Oh, and I love this artifact setup for Crowley in general. Getting some extra rituals, getting even more of a discount. And they already have a couple magical as well on their board. So if they end up getting these Serpentinas tripled up, they could be going for a Scholar's Pledge, really doing, the Crowley things.
Yeah. And I think this is good for, even though he's on some lower health here, I think Lil Nenko has to be happy right now with this setup because the way I see it, this is right in his comfort zone, right? Like this is where they like to play with the ritual-focused sort of spam ritual type play with the Serpentina. I think that's generally where Lil Nenko likes to be.
Absolutely. And I like this positioning too. Like the theory is the range goes off, maybe get some extra damage, pop both of the barriers, great extra damage hit, and then the guardsman was supposed to come in, but unfortunately Rob's got the first attack off.
Yeah.
Ruined that plan a little bit. And the Silverbeak stats are pushing him just over the edge.
Right. Level 2 and 3 is just not the point you want to be running into Silverbeak. That the Archdemon power will fall off a little bit later. But yeah, it's very hard unless you're high rolling to beat a Silverbeak early. He does see, I find that the Babam and Red Demon combo though, that is pretty strong. If people weren't aware, the way that Finale works now, Finale is the on death effect. Since that Fire Slinger's in front of the Bob-omb. If it dies and the Imp Lord is still alive, it will also scale the Fire Slinger, as if it were performing all of those extra damage hits that the Bob-omb gives it.
Oh yeah, ton of scaling potential here for Lolnenko. And it's kind of one of those things of, yeah, maybe you double down. You just faced one of the healthiest and strongest boards in the lobby. Maybe against everyone else, you'll be able to get the scaling, so the next time you come into a Silverbeak, you'll be able to take it. So yeah, the spells are coming out. Let's see how this one wraps up, and then we'll probably check in on another player. We see some health totals getting below those 20 marker, so we will try to keep up on the action.
It's like they did opt to cut the Imp Lord. This is often a problem you have with like level 4 demons, though, with the Bob-omb setup. You just have more units available than slots on the board. So you have to make a decision on who to cut. It looks like they've decided to cut the Imp Lord, which is probably in favor of tempo, right? Like, they probably don't win that fight if they had Imp Lord on the board.
Yeah, very true. And some critical fight RNG went their way. But looking over here at Osiricles, quite a strong board, a fully upgraded front line, as well as we have that Eldritch unit, the assassin that goes after the highest health. What are your thoughts on that unit? I find myself almost never playing it.
The Voidblade? Yeah, I have to imagine that was a promotion gone wrong. I will say there are the rare situation where it can be pretty good, specifically if you can get the Shadowblade treasure, which is a 5-cost treasure that basically allows you to gain the attack proportional to the health of the unit you're attacking. So in Voidblade's case, that's actually pretty good, but in a normal case, the unit kind of often works against itself without that treasure, because it's like you're basically almost making the enemy have a high chance to 2-for-1 you.
And I think I am seeing the Osiricles' Awise's plan of, I think that Voidblade used to be the strongest character for the vampire bats, but the Grek ended up outscaling it.
Yep. That could be. Which is an interesting conundrum, because now you obviously want your Grek to go first, but you also have this vampire bats. You know, you want your Grek to go first to disrupt the backline enchanters usually. However, if you want to cash in on that vampire bats, maybe you put your Grek in slot 5, or even later, to try to actually get it to trigger that death effect when it actually attacks. The problem right now is it's always going to attack some unit that is probably low attack, so it's never actually going to get that vampire bat effect.
Yeah, very true. Let's pop over to our Demonster player, Hausu Cat. It seems like they might not have hit everything they wanted to. They're sitting at 3 health. The comeback is definitely still possible for Demonstra, but I'm interested in who they're actually getting paired up with for this next fight.
Yeah, this could be that critical moment where, you know, maybe they picked up some tempo and can hopefully stabilize. If not, then we probably see kind of the feast or famine effect of Demonstra, where you either get first or 8th.
Yeah, it can be a very swingy, and demons are just a very strong comp. We're looking at Lolnenko pulling off some of these demon strats. They've reinforced the Bob-omb too, giving it more attack, giving it a barrier for this fight, so this should see them through and protect their low life total. And we're gonna see Osiricles take a hit, and we're gonna check the standings, and it does look like the Demonster player gets knocked out. And based on the GG emotes, it looks like Groundson was the player to do it.
Yeah, and an interesting note on Groundson, it looks like they have not lost a fight since we kind of commented on them being on lower HP. I believe they were at 22 HP last we checked, so they seem to have stabilized here.
Yeah, I saw earlier on their board, they had the Mana Pest that they were prioritizing. They upgraded the Mana Pest, and upgrading early, you love to see those early artifacts, but you got to remember that does take another unit off your board. That is mana
Right.
invested now in, 3 times the cost for one unit. So that's probably where the tempo was, but it looks like they've stabilized. And it looks like our top boards have come down a bit too. Oh yeah, look at Howdy. Gone down to only a couple of units, but each of these units are big. We got
Yeah.
2 Earth Elementals scaling. They're getting double attack while the triple attack, that's an upgraded Fey Elemental, looks like potentially a promo.
Yeah, definitely. Based on the fact that they don't have any 5 or even 4 cost treasures, I'd have to imagine it was a promo, but I suppose it's possible they skipped.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised I haven't seen an Iron Ogre come out. I know that we have a little bit more of the inside knowledge, but it seems like every board we're coming across with something has barrier on it. Bucky's
Right.
always a popular mid-game pick, so wouldn't be surprised if a couple Iron Ogres start finding their way in. Also, if no one else is picking it up, it's a good way to find a 5-cost treasure.
Yeah, and especially as it looks like perhaps the Zoe is pretty strong here, and getting down to the final 4, you have to start maybe thinking about playing into your opponents a bit. And definitely a great way to deal with the Zoe in particular is just Iron Ogre.
Yeah. Also, wouldn't be surprised to see some Archeroses getting picked up. We have a Rakwa at the top with 26 health. Let's
Right.
check in on their board, see if that early. Yep, there it is. There's that
Ooh.
early Mana Guardian scaled up, a 70-78, getting some support.
Yeah, this will be very interesting. They have, they have the magical synergy going on here. They don't necessarily have the spell spam support, but they definitely gain, with between the Scholar's Pledge and the Circle of Power, every time they cast a ritual, they're essentially getting 1 health and 3 attack to their entire board. And so Lulnenko has a similar setup, and I gotta say, Lulnenko looks very strong to me at the moment.
Ooh, yeah, early Death's Champion.
Yeah. If I had to give an advantage to somebody, I probably would give it to Lulnenko at the moment. They not only are they strong right now, I see the potential for their end game here is so much more close to being realized.
Yeah, absolutely. The Serpentina is going to be getting tokens left, right. They have a lot of different outs too with the things they've already hit. They have the summon synergy when rats aren't here. The 2 7-costers that are synergizing quite well. Now
Right.
up against the Rakwa for Lolenko.
And they might even just cast this Hellfire Pact here to go for the chance at a Hydrax. Looks like they get another Death Champion though, which is, the level 7 treasures. There's definitely some that could be good from probably the Ghoul King, which would give plus 20/20 to all resummons. Also, Madness would not be too bad here, considering you have both the Serpentina and the Babam.
Yeah, lots of outs there on 7. I mean, even getting your rituals down to 0. This is also an Archdemon that can really take advantage of that one in particular. So exciting to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Now we see who's more powerful right now between the Rakwa and Lulnenko here.
And we did get a little bogged down. We have had some players go out. It looks like Osiricles and Coven have been eliminated. And now it looks like Ground Sun might be in danger of missing the top 4. Some really good summons, though. Here might be able to do it. Oh, but we have a safety helm on the other side, too. So we've got summons versus summons. This fight is far from being over.
Right. It does look like probably Lulnenko. Yeah, Lulnenko has just a little bit more stats here.
A little bit more stats here, as well as the range would get another chance to go off. And ton of damage coming through.
Pretty big hit.
And the Ground Sun shot up in health. It looks like they were able to sacrifice something, and now it's Rob's on the bottom. And
it's a big sacrifice.
We also alluded this to earlier. That +2/+1 bonus is really nice in the early and mid game when you get it for Silverbeak, but Now, not so much. Although, thankfully, Robs has a ghost fight. So, should be able to take this chance, get some more stats, get some more scaling. They're going for an elemental board. Rockwell here with the center of power board. It's impressive to look at, but yeah, like you said, Lil Nenko might be in the driver's seat as far as power goes on board.
Right. I think the problem with the Rock one now is they've been a very strong position the whole game with this Mana Guardian, but they haven't really transitioned to a super strong late game board here. You know, this is obviously a lot of stats, but it's pretty susceptible to, you know, I suppose it's a little protecting against a Grek since that Fire Singer is at 12 health, but you know, if somebody's running an Archeros and they have multiple assassins, you could definitely take out a lot of power on this board once you take that Serpentina out. But yeah, certainly right now this is definitely stronger than what the Groundson has. You know, even without those resummons, it's probably beating it. But then when you factor in that the resummons are also getting 24 attack to them currently, yeah, that's pretty hard to beat.
And it looks like, based on the math here, our Guardian Zoe did knock down Lil Nenko's board. So Lil Nenko down at 2 on Crowley. We're going to check in on this Guardian Zoe, because it looks like HT9092 has hit some considerably powerful synergies.
Yeah.
Look at this greener board.
Yeah, they got the force multiplier plus the entire board getting the boost. Along with, you know, up a bomb, still getting some value. You know, that's 16 damage twice is nothing to scoff at, especially when that might hit a Serpentina in the back line, right? I'd have to imagine something like that happened against Lil Nenko. Either it sniped off a Death's Champion or a Serpentina, and that's pretty brutal to his board.
Yeah,
Ooh,
very
the
true.
World Eater.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is some spicy stuff. That World Eater will double the stats of anything it damages that it's linked to. But because of this barrier, it's going to get 3 units attached to it. It's not going to actually take out the boost that has the barrier, give that a little bit more scaling. So yeah, there's going to be some big numbers coming out of here. If players see it, they're probably going to need to start scrambling to find a Fnatic, try and find the right positioning for it. Ooh, HT though looks like wants to save the World Eater tech for later.
Yeah, it's, you know, the World Eater right now, it's kind of susceptible, especially against somebody who's spamming spells. Like in the back there, it'll die to targeted strike, it'll die to scatter shot, it'll die to eruption. And maybe even on top of that, there's an element of, you know, they might not want to show their hand, so to speak, and save it as like a final sort of way to close out the game that they're not expecting.
Yeah, very true. And a big hit coming in, 11 damage. It looks like our Guardian Zoe's the only one above 10 in the double digits still, as well as our Ground Sun player just got knocked out. So we are in top 4 now for Group A.
Yeah.
So we've got Robs is coming in next against the top player in the lobby, and we've just seen that the Guardian Zoe HT can pump out the damage, so this could be a potential knockout. We might be going to our top 2 after this. Robs, though, looking for an answer. They've got the big treasure, making this Fire Golem gigantic, thus making the Fey Golem gigantic. Yeah, interesting positioning to maximize these treasures.
Yeah, it's tough because they'll get a big hit with that Lava Golem, but once that Lava Golem dies, it's kind of gimping the backline a bit. I do wonder if maybe they would benefit more from a Lava Golem in the back row and sort of cash in on some sort of extra damage on the Ice Elemental, but we'll see here. We'll see how this plays out. It does look like there's a lot of stats for the Guardian Zoe to have to deal with here.
Yeah, but that Grek hit, though, takes away kind of that late fight gas that you want from the Unholy Champion respawns.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, and then once that fire golem goes, or the
And
lava golem goes down, that's all she wrote. Rob's
yeah.
getting knocked out here. And do we cut to top 2? We do.
All right, I got the one-on-one with Lil Nenko, who I will say, since we've last seen, hasn't really had gigantic improvements to the board. Obviously, their Kraken Hunter is getting a lot more attack from the Serpentina. They do have a Bombs Away, which is pretty good for that bomb. They are fielding the Nature's Wrath in 3, which it makes sense given that they need a magical unit, but it probably won't give them much value on the resummon.
Yeah, very true. And it does have some potential value in that, there's some other things that Grex are going to go after. We know that there are Grex on the other board, so maybe some of these summons do happen first.
Right.
It looks like this Kraken Hunter will be able to get a shot off because we think that Grex is probably still going to be in 1-2 for Guardian Zo, so we're going to see what happens. The Hydrax.
Yeah, if they can somehow survive here, that Hydrax could pull them ahead. But
true.
I don't know if they can beat this. We'll see.
Oh yeah, the Bob-omb triggers here might be the difference maker.
That's a pretty good overkill, though. I in my head I thought, oh, maybe they want the Bob-omb.
Another overkill from the spawn gets the Bob-omb out of there.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's looking pretty good for Nenko here, though the captain could be an issue. Oh, it's dead.
Always some scary things. Oh yeah, another Bob-omb trigger with the Serpentina being magical, and then the summons, the full board, the max damage coming out. Thankfully, it's not upgraded though for HD 2.
All right, well, time to see. I guess there is still an issue with the Hydrax though, right? Because yeah, they got the Serpentina, but they don't have any beasts.
True.
They don't have much mana left.
Yeah, it would be very dependent on what is the next thing that they do. And I honestly think for Lil Nenko, War Engines might be the pickup here just for one big Kraken shot.
Yep. I think you're spot on there.
Look at that. All eggs in that basket. We know a Grex not coming for it. It should be able to get its attack out. Let's flip our view, though, over to the Guardian Zo. Let's see what they're doing with the rest of their money. Yeah, they're taking some time to think it out. It looks like they still have plenty of mana to spend. Thinking... we are getting a report of it may be that they crashed.
I did see them they did just move their board though, so they must be back.
So it could be our player just not displaying the mana correctly, but we are going to go into the fight. This is what we locked. The World Eater tech is coming out, so let's see what happens. One World Eater, also with a Siege Engines now.
Ooh. See, now this is where he shows his hand. We'll see if those stats are enough.
One of the champions does get popped early. We are getting some notches to come out. Giant siege attack happening there. And yeah, we get 4 notches.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine this might be the game for Lenko here.
Yeah, 360 health to still get through. Yeah, the World Eater tech is going to serve the day.
Yep.
And clean it up pretty quickly when it has siege.
Right. Yeah, that was a great finish there. And even though Lenko didn't win, it is cool to see that at one point they were at the very bottom of the lobby, if I'm not mistaken. So they were able to kind of bring it back and get second at least. Which is, great for trying to qualify for that finals.
Yeah, we didn't point it out earlier, but there were a couple times where we saw a few players' health pool shoot back up. And that was a ritual cast on probably a 4, 5, maybe even a 6-costed unit to get some health. And I think that did change some of our placement towards the mid. With the amount of rituals that was getting slinged there by Lil Nenko, I believe they did pull off a couple, and that just health total did get them into the top 2.
Absolutely, it's such an important skill to be casting, especially if you aren't that sure where you stand. It's just such a it's not that much of a hit to you to maybe give up on a 5-cost unit that you're holding on to, or even a 6-cost in some cases. If that's the difference between you getting sixth place and second or third, it's absolutely gigantically worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that concluded Group A. We are going to move over to watching Group B's second match. Group A does have a second game that will be played that we will not be streaming. And then from there, we will take the top 4 players of both groups to find our final 8. Over in Group B, though, we have Cookie Monster, Exasperated Cultists, Hinnisquit, I believe is how it's pronounced. Motive Games, Oliver, Scheme, Spinzaku, and Swiftwolf. Gabriel, I know you've bumped into a lot of these players on the ladder. Who do you think are some players to watch going in?
Well, I'll always be on the lookout for Swiftwolf. I think that he just has a very consistent play style. I talk about heuristics sometimes, and I think he really has those down. It's like, he knows when to be looking for the powerful artifact spikes. For instance, I think a really good piece of advice he had is when you're at level 5 to be just picking up any 6 cost, whether it fits your board or not, because those 6 cost treasures are so pivotal, I guess. That's definitely somebody I'll have my eye on. And obviously, all of them are great. I've seen Spinzaku has been at the top of the leaderboard several times. MOTF Games had a lot of great games yesterday. Cookie Monster I've faced a lot. Like they've definitely put the hurt on me several times. So I expect some very aggressive play, I would say. A lot of them I've noticed are very tempo oriented. So
tempo oriented, yeah. But on top of that, I think a lot of these players have very good game knowledge. I know Motive Games especially is always playing to the outs. I learned a lot on how you can actually pilot, your Atlanteans a little bit better in the mid game, so that way if you do find the Hydrix, you can immediately turn the corner. And so always thinking about those 6 cost and 7 cost units though in the back of their brain to make sure that they have a powerful turn towards the end and can really just step on the gas as far as tempo goes.
Absolutely, yeah, and Atlantean is just a really fun clan. I'm always happy when it's not banned. Serpent, kind of on what you touched on there, Serpentina is just such a versatile unit. We saw that with Lolneko, we saw it with the Raqua player. They never even ended up using the Hydrax, but those Serpentinas still put in a ton of work for both of their boards, right? Like resummons, Buckies, just a ranged unit in front of it. Any of those type of things can make Serpentina pretty strong.
Yeah, and on top of that, Serpentina in itself is a very good ritual payout. Clearly gets more tokens the more rituals you do, but when Scholar's Pledge got moved to a 4 cost, as well as the scaling went down on it, a lot of players found, hey, the payoff might not be that good on it anymore. But with a character like Serpentina, it's still really good to be able to be casting multiple rituals, getting a discount of some kind, as well as the effective rituals. I think we saw a lot in here versus ladder play. In this tournament, rituals are getting cast as often as possible. Just those little edges every time to preserve that health pool has played out many times. We saw in our top 2, one of our players was casting 3 rituals every round, almost without fail. So.
Absolutely, yeah. I've started kind of catching on to that. It's if you say you get a 3 cost treasure and you're not really sure on them, you're probably always safe if that double casting artifact is available. You're probably always safe to take it. It's never going to be that bad for you. And then you can start to do things like that, right? Now you can start to cast 2 rituals a turn, and maybe they're just giving you permanent stats, giving you tempo, or maybe they're just, even if it's something like a Eruption is pretty much never bad to cast, right? Eruption can just brutalize so many boards.
Yeah, the upside of an Eruption is incredible. The downside of it is it still helps your trades. Like, free damage is just so good.
Right.
And then on top of that too, you can also throw off other people's game plans, even just trying to cast a attacked first spell against an Osiricles. When you bank on attacking first, all of a sudden it being a 50-50 might screw up your game plan, might take away enough value for you. So, yeah,
Yeah.
something to look forward to as well.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, you kind of bring up a great point. Like, these rituals or even certain types of units, they can really screw up a game plan, right? Like you go in a lot of times, especially when there's still 8 players in the lobby. You're never really expecting any one particular thing, so you're really focused only on your own board. And you're positioning units usually just in a general, like, oh, this is just the most powerful thing for me, right? But then if an enemy does something like go first when you're expecting to go first, that changes things, right? Or if they have a Grek that jumps and kills some of your backline units, now everything's messed up, right? Or an eruption just eliminates like all of your 4 health units. Those type of unexpected things can really provide big swings in a game. They might be the difference between losing 2 HP and like 11 HP, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a huge difference, especially when that hit comes in. So lots of things to look forward to. I'm also checking out our placement. I know we didn't get to watch Group B live, but we do have the recording. It looks like Exasperated Cultist was able to take first in Group B last round.
Nice.
And they faced off against Spinzaku, who took second. And then our top 4 is filled out by Swiftwolf and Oliver from last round. So I think within this group too, they're also going to start clocking in on, all right, these are the 4 players that took top 4. Maybe this is the time where I'm taking the eruption tempo over another unit, or making those decisions of, you know what, they're already up on points. I need to be in those top 4 point earners for this to make the next round. Let's make sure those 4 players get targeted. Maybe we see a Brotusk come out and these players are the banana targets.
Yeah, this looks like the Greener and Warden ban.
Yes, Greener and Warden are banned. We have our round 2 Group B game starting up right now. Players are getting to pick their archdemons, and we will see it momentarily. For the questions in chat, this is Group B that's coming in. The one you see on your screen, starting with Cookie Monster down to Swiftwolf. These are the players you're going to see, and some interesting things I think are going to be happening. We get to start with Motive Games on the Baron, an archdemon I absolutely love. We're also seeing some of our, tempo staples. We got a Morg, Silverbeak, 10-foot is gracing our presence. I'm always excited to see a Lars with
finally.
Rakwa, as well as a Razcal. So it looks like this lobby is taking a lot of tempo. A lot of free stats are getting thrown out in this one.
Yeah, it's surprising that this is the first time, at least in the games, I've been able to observe that we've seen a Lars. I would have expected Lars to be rampant, but yeah, will be interesting to see. There is a little bit of a hit to Lars since Warden is banned. They will not have that high roll of an early mana pest. But at least, they'll get a little bit of value out of that rat. An extra 1/1 is definitely nothing to scoff at, but definitely not until level 3 will they really be looking to get much value out of their archdemon power.
True. And with Greener's gone, I think 10-foot's fine with that. That's a very link-dependent comp with your boosts. That's actually something I personally struggle with on 10-foot is, what do you do late game? I feel like I'm a player that uses links to the full value, and so I'm really interested to see how that mid game goes into the late game. But we're looking at Cookie Monster here on Rakwa, and it looks like they have themselves a nice little beast everything. I love an Anemonat getting this Rakwa buff early. It's giving itself attack. The Rakwa is giving it potentially the health if it perishes, but the board's a little bit too strong for Motive at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think there's a better unit you can hope to see as your first purchase than an Anemonat as a Rakwa. That just keeps getting that attack. If you're fortunate enough to get an early promotion, you can also promote it and just keep moving it on up the tier levels, and it'll probably be relevant for you most of the game. Looks like we got and I gotta say, I generally like these Hellhound with Beast boards. It's a big reason why I rank Hellhound pretty high. Just gives you a lot of stats overall, although it is susceptible to what we just saw there, the overkill.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I love Bloodsucker. It potentially sets you up early for 2-for-1s. We saw it get used very well there. Rocco had the natural counter of having a tank unit in the back line, though. So we're already seeing some pretty hard hits on some of these players. Let's check in with our Morgue player, though, see if they've been able to actually activate their power yet. It looks like they do have an upgrade unit locked in, and so they're going to be able to do it as well. Another unit I'm always happy to see is this Fire Elemental. Throw a rat in front of it. Mana Pest, unfortunately not in this game, but like that's kind of my holy trinity of the early game a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat a rat. I mean, obviously it's doable, but it's pretty hard to beat a rat in front of a Fire Elemental. You know, that's just early game. That's so many stats to deal with.
We have Spin Zaku getting a rat, an upgraded rat actually, in front of a Water Elemental, so could be the difference maker against some of these other ones. But Swift Wolf coming out with the big 10-foot, getting those free stats, getting on top of the Anemonaut stats, and an upgraded Vamp Lane. So the number of units is going one way, but yeah, just the raw numbers going the other, and gives them the little snowman shake.
Yeah, you got to get in their head. It's a very important aspect of the competition.
The one thing I wish we could see is how many times players are just mashing that snowman in the top right, letting them see their own icicles fall. But
right.
You know,
that's also very important.
We're here for the actual gameplay, positioning, and what units are being bought. Let's check in with the Silverbeak player. Again, another champion that can be, or another archdemon that can be a little difficult to balance out when to get artifacts, when to pick up units. Looks like they're running with 3 pairs, giving their board +6/+3. So.
Yeah, and they do have 2 triples locked in the shop, but now you get this question, right? It's, or I guess 1 triple and a double, which is going to be an easy transition, actually. This is about as smooth as a transition as you can hope for with the Silverbeak. Because usually you're faced with this problem of, like, you're probably going to hurt your board a bit to make a triple, but in this case, he has a triple on his best unit, the Mana Guardian. And then also just a Fire Elemental easily slots right there into 5 or maybe 7, wherever he wants to put it. So this is, I think Silverbeak's going to have a pretty good set of turns coming up.
Absolutely. And already with a healthy health pool, taking down some of the other healthy players. Speaking of which, let's check in with this Razcal player. They're also sitting up pretty at 40. Those free stats alternating between health and attack. And it looks like they've got some delicious trying to get into Great Bites.
Yeah, I gotta respect the Razcal pick. It's a archdemon I've had trouble evaluating the power level of. I've had games where it actually feels pretty strong still, because it is really good through level 1 and 2. But I've found it kind of falls off level 3 and beyond, so we'll see if that ends up happening here. Obviously, they're very strong at the moment, though.
Yeah, and I love this artifact pickup too. The bonus health from the fresh meat really helping out their power too. So it's either you're getting 2/2 or you're getting 0/4 in bonus stats depending on your position. And that potentially has a big impact later with things like making sure you don't get assassinated by something. Although greeners are banned this round, so we're going to see a lot less Grex this time than last.
Right.
So it might not be a huge consideration moving forward. But we're getting some overkill value here. Lars is getting their army of rats back up, and thankfully their Fire Elemental stays alive to provide a ton of value with these trades.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, actually, the amount of undead rats that we just saw there.
And even the slot 5 Vampling giving value, denying a token towards getting a Great Bite on this back one. Checking in though with Motive Games, looks like they have been able to find some artifacts, not exactly the ones you want to see, not providing a huge amount of tempo. Fortunate Blade has been described as a win more artifact, since you already have to be surviving the trade to get the bonus. But maybe we find some ranged, maybe these elementals start scaling up. This is kind of the time those 4-cost elementals is a good opportunity to really get some numbers down.
Yeah, it's tough because you kind of brought up the point of having to survive the hit, and I guess he actually casts a power surge here, which is interesting. That'll definitely, maybe the thought is a Silverbeak's going to be very strong, and we got to like stop the bleeding here, especially
Yeah,
being on 21 health, and I think I like that. On that fortunate blade note, there is some benefit when you have a decently high damage ranged unit like the Ox Rat there. 6 might not be high enough at this point, but the range units particularly I find can benefit from that fortunate blade just because they don't, obviously they're not like trading. So like
there
right
it is.
here, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Which is
there's
pretty
that
powerful
value,
play.
and I think we see the game plan working out quite well. Get that Ox Rat big. That Vampling soaked up a lot of big hits before. Without this +5/+5, that Vampling wouldn't have gotten the hit, wouldn't have gotten the Fortunate Blade proc, wouldn't have been able to spread as much health out. So yeah,
Yeah,
worth the
that's
2 mana investment for Motive.
absolutely, yeah. Two mana well spent.
Over here on Spinzaku's board, we have another Crowley player coming in up against a Morgan. It looks like they're pretty well into a rat comp already. Depending on what else they find, they could turn this into some pretty significant treasures. Rats love hunting those 3-cost and 4-cost treasures, so hopefully they find some Magic Kisses. Hopefully they find some more stick rats. But for now, Swarm Tactics, getting all of these small characters, including the Anemonaut, some more attack for easy trades.
Yeah, I was gonna comment that I was surprised that he didn't cast the I believe it's called Magical Aura, the one that gives the 3/3 to magical unit. But obviously this gnawing feeling is way higher value, so Spinzaku definitely having the good self-control not to cast that earlier spell and actually find the better one to cast here.
And you are right, that is gnawing feeling. I misspoke as far as names go, trying to keep those straight. And it looks like, though, Scheme was able to get a promote in. Not sure what it landed on, but I am a sucker for promotes. I cannot pass that spell without flinging it somewhere on my board.
Yeah, it's so powerful that even when you don't want to cast it, I feel like you should. It's kind of on that level usually. Maybe you can make an argument that 10-foot might not want to cast it just since it has a lot of misses, but generally just so powerful to promote a unit, especially if they're upgraded.
Which we see right now, Spinzaku had the Mind Sapper, targeted with a promotion, got a level 5 into a level 7, and we do already have some beast synergy, and this shot might push them over the edge of getting more token generators stat. I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, they're on 13 health right now, which they needed something like this, and they got it.
They do let the Dolish go by, which is probably the best play, though. Serpentina is probably going to be your next big token generator until we can find a Bustation for Spinzaku. But let's check in over with our Lars player. I know both of us have Lars in our top 5 Archdemons. I think that's more so fun to play.
Right.
But we should start seeing this Lars player finding various finale units who can actually leverage their power. Spinzaku, though, about to head into a Razcal. And Razcal's got the Great Bite, and it is chomping away. Ooh, we also see an upgraded Blood Mage.
Yeah.
+10/+10 to these summons.
Right, that's hard to beat at this point. And unfortunately, the Hydrex just doesn't have a whole lot of benefit at the moment. So even though they found a pretty good hit there on this amount of health, now they're in range to die on any loss, right? Level 4, and even if just one unit survives and beats them, that's it.
Very true. And Motive down on the Baron, also down to 10 health now, also has the potential of running into something that is just too big and too scary.
Right. It looks like they are facing each other, so this could be an elimination on whoever wins this next fight between them.
Yeah, thankfully, bonus damage has not kicked in yet, so these upgraded units won't be dealing extra damage. This Werebeast, though, is a beast, is getting the bonus stats from the Hydrax Anemonot combo here, and if this gets to get a couple ends in, it could be a stabilizing factor for Spinzaku. Nothing left to sell on their bench. They are all in on this round. So we're going to stay here, keep the action, but also take a note of these health pools. We have 10 foot up there at 40 health, Raskal at 36. So this lobby is far from settled. Ooh, strategic gamble coming out for the Baron. Lots of good free stats.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Spinzaku to deal with here. I don't want to call it too early here, but I just don't really see how he's going to deal with this. Maybe, though. That's a really good hit right there.
Yeah. Between the range and extra summoned body, if these attacks go the wrong way, it has a chance, but that'll seal it for Spinzaku. Yeah. First player knocked out of round 2 for Group B. Motive Games, though, still healthy, still in it. But now Motive Games has got to go up against our top of lobby 40 health 10 foot.
Right.
Yeah, Swift Wolf Gaming hitting a big promote.
Ooh. Yeah, that looks like that hit is that the Abomination that he just earned?
Yeah, Abomination there is going to start scaling off of his 3 rat characters quite nicely. Looks like the scaling it already has is from 10 foot. And this is kind of a great 10 foot comp. You're not relying on any sort of link units. It looks like they haven't fallen into the usual trap I have of buying a bomb anyway because I'm a sucker.
Yeah, and that Abomination will actually give them an endgame plan, which is nice. That's the tough thing with 10 foot. You'd kind of mentioned it earlier. It's like, what do you do in the endgame when so many of the powerful units are kind of based on links, right?
Yeah, and it looks like Scheme has found their way into a magical comp. Lots of elementals, the Scholar's Pledge, lots of upgrades here too. Working on getting an upgraded Feyfire Golem, which will also be a huge power for them. And that +6/+6 is nothing to be scoffed at, even at this stage of the game.
And I have to think that there's probably some intentional positioning here where he wants to essentially give a pseudo tank to that Mana Guardian by stealthing the rest of everything.
Yeah, stealth is such an interesting mechanic. It's hard to leverage, but I think Scheme has a very good game plan for it.
Right.
Because that is the downfall of elementals. I think we said it before, but yeah, they can get tons of attack through Feyfire Golem and Lava Golem, but the hit points a little bit more difficult to come by. So an upgraded Ice Elemental is welcome to see. Right. Maybe they pick up an Archeros as a tech piece. But
yeah, we haven't seen much Archeros in the games so far. I was a little surprised to see that.
I love seeing these treasures. Everyone now has pick of the litter of what they want to do. It doesn't look like they have an end synergy in place, so it's not going to be that. And again, they're on a mostly elemental board, and so they're trying to shore up the weaknesses that are natural to the comp. Helm of the Abyss coming out, doubling the health for that front row.
Yeah, Helm plus Gamble is a lot of stats. And that Squid is gigantic. I gotta say, the new version of Squid is pretty good when upgraded with those 16 counters.
Yeah, and it looks like that may have been... Oh, that's exactly what they promoted into, or not promoted into, upgraded to actually get a look at that level 6 treasure.
Yeah, I believe so. It's a good one to grab. I mean, it's generally uncontested. Most people aren't grabbing it unless they already have a Hydrax, or if they're just desperate. It can be an okay, like, desperate tempo play to just grab them.
And strategic gamble now coming out. I was questioning this positioning, and I was like, nope, strategic gamble is going to take care of all of those decisions for us.
Looks like Swiftwolf also must have found the Eldritch Pact within the last turn or so. So now they have 2 Abominations.
And I've gotten to chat a bit with Swiftwolf. He loves an early Abomination. Do not be surprised if he now is also trying to pick up 4-cost units to hit the promote to get one of those Abominations upgraded as soon as possible.
Right, and maybe get some sort of 7-cost treasure. Probably, I'd have to imagine maybe Ghoul King would be what they look for. Then they can maybe pick up a Death's Champion and seal the game out early.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like they're taking their first loss here. This Squidicious was a little bit too big. And
Yeah.
it looks like Squidicious just got some help here. I'm feeling pretty comfy with
Ooh.
Motive. Let's go
Yeah.
check in, though, on this Lars player. They've shot down from about the 20 health down to 7. Ifjin, who I believe goes by a different name on Discord. But yeah, this board, I love seeing the Babam on the Lars. Also, if this Yeti goes in, gets some favorable stuns and hits, Lars definitely has a chance of carving out a comeback here.
Yeah, this is kind of a glass cannon build, so to speak. They'll have that assassination, which will almost certainly get an end, but I think they're pretty happy to have the meat on the bone, because it at least puts them out of eruption range in all other units. They may have to keep that treasure for quite some time, just as an anti-eruption measure.
Yeah, would not be surprised to see some health come down on this Babam as soon as possible. Great hit going to the back, though, taking out one of the supports. Unfortunately, their Babam is still up, though, which means we could just have a Babam off of whoever gets the better hits.
Right.
Ooh, also interesting, the Rat does take one of the Lars procs, so we're not getting a double Babam proc here. Ooh, and these breakpoints might have sealed the deal for our Lars player.
He must have never been able to find a Flambar either, because I don't really see much stats, unfortunately. Yeah, it looks like that is it for Lars. Oh, no. They must have cast a ritual then, the sacrifice.
No, we're still just observing their board. It does look like they're locked into -2 health. So
I see, yeah.
And yeah, it looks like that board is out of contention. Won't even be a ghost player. Let's check in, though, on this Morgue, down to 7 health now. It looks like we have 2 bullies, Razcal and 10-foot. Razcal at 31 health. But, you know, Schemes hit the center of power Babam comp.
Yeah.
Can be a huge wild card. Love seeing the Mana Guardian with tank up front.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big Babam, too. I know that Moore gets some stats, but it must have... I had to imagine that was promoted, because that's 1830's quite a lot of stats. Although I guess it's getting enchantments from the... Yeah, it's just getting enchantments from the elementals. Never mind.
Yeah, 16 of that health is coming over from that elemental, but its attack, I guess, is also just coming from its own power and its upgrade. I think this may have been the center of power or the tank artifact that came from it. But either way, got a chance here to stabilize. We have another...
Seems like everybody running Babam in this lobby, it looks like.
I mean, it's the best unit in the game. How can you not run it? Like,
look
at it. It's just a big purple ball of happiness. And yeah, the Babam triggers are playing a huge role.
Yikes.
I mean, just the difference between 4 Babam triggers versus 2 Babam triggers is plenty of damage.
Right.
And yeah, Scheme, I think this bus station, also a great pickup for them, could easily replace this Gecko, but deciding to pass on it, maybe looking for more of magically inclined units to really push this comp over the edge.
Oh, it's unfortunate that they saw the promotion there after casting the Power Surge. I'm sure they're not particularly happy to see that.
We have Silverbeak, though, doing some interesting choices here. Massive Fire Slinger in slot 1 to start off the fight. And looks like they are looking to shore up their board, too, sitting at 2 health. The Raqua is what they're heading up against. And this giant Fire Slinger should be able to get through their tank unless some sort of extra crazy scaling has taken place.
Yeah, I mean, 116. Maybe they even think they don't need all that attack, and looks like they're shifting it around. 68 might not be able to get it though. It'll be interesting to see what the breakpoint ends up being.
Yeah, lots of interesting choices. Looks like they do find another artifact.
Maybe.
Oh, and they do have first attack going off, so hopefully it's enough. But there's also more than one tank character on the other side.
Yeah.
Like we've got a bit of a demon fight going on.
Right. It's very interesting how a lot of these builds actually are contesting each other quite a lot. You got the Babam, you got demons, you got the Mana Guardians, the elementals. It's interesting because there's a lot of the other pretty powerful strategies that just weren't really picked up by any of the players in this game.
Yeah, it looks like Cookie Monster does get knocked out on the Rockwah, and it looks like we might have another knockout chance with our Silverbeak player too.
Right.
Um, but we have Exasperated Cultist right now on Razcal, another Center of Power Babam comp. So yeah, Babams
Yeah.
everywhere, Magicals everywhere. Yeah, let people have Elemental and Coven, and the people choose what they want.
Right, right. Yeah, looks like they also bought themselves a lot of extra health here. I believe that was a 5-cost unit or a 6-cost unit. Because they're back up to 15 now.
Yeah, back up to 15. So it looks like they're probably out of danger of getting knocked out, but upgraded damage, I believe, is in effect. So we'll see about that. If we can, let's try and watch the Morg Silverbeak fight. Let's check in on the Morg players board, though. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, here's another Center of Power Babam with some Scholar's Pledge sprinkled in on top. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the same choices, and I think that's what we're going to see somewhat throughout these games today, is a lot of them know what are the strong points, what can we build around. If everyone finds it around the same time, it's very, very contested. Yeah, near identical boards here. Yeah, that treasure layout, a lot of these positionings, a lot of the same units, but the Babam strikes go in favor of Scheme this time, taking out the enemy's Babam, and that's pretty much all she wrote there.
Yeah, the Babam, it's interesting because they both got hit, but Scheme had just that larger health pool.
That
was able to survive that hit. Yeah, exactly.
It over the top, as well as the Morg 6 health. Nothing to be scuffed at when you get into a Babam off.
Wow, with both those blood mages, look how much health the Exasperated Cultist Babam there is, 46.
Yeah, so this is our third Babam Center of Power comp.
They just keep getting larger and larger.
Keep finding, but Bombs Away getting found, which could put them over the edge of the Babam Tech versus Babam Tech.
Absolutely. That is a lot of extra damage.
But we're going for the magical scaling route. I know that my Babam main would have snap-picked the Bombs Away, but the Portal to the Unknown coming down to be able to scale up everything around the Babam, which is probably a better line. It's just safer in that your power isn't coming just from your one unit. So if someone else figures out the tech and figures out how to get around it, you've got another out.
I think I would like this play better from Cultist if they hadn't already gotten first. I think it looks like they're probably fine anyway, though. So it seems like a play to go for first. Like, definitely they would have got more tempo, though, I think, out of the Bombs Away.
True.
But yeah, this is probably just the play to try to go for first. Try to go for the end game.
Yeah, we see Motive Games still alive, though, on the Baron 2. Scheme is in a Babam off, which is looking like they're just coming in with the smaller Babam, which might be the factor.
Right.
But it is so funny to see so much action happening without anyone attacking yet. Both Babams go out in the Babam exchange, and the lonely rat.
Wow. Is Jeff here? We got Jeff up in here. Jeff would be proud.
Look in wonder, Jeff. We have Swift Wolf Gaming, though, still up at the top, 41. They've been able to recover some health, get above that 40 line, as well as Motive Games. They got way below 15 at one point. Now they're back down to 10, and it looks like they hit a World Eater on that Devil's Pact.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we checked in with Motive Games. We saw this kind of forming back then, and he's just kind of made it even larger and larger with the Hydrex build. And this is really strong. I mean, you got the Gecko. It is a beast, so it's going to get those stats, and you don't really care about it surviving, so it'll just give all those stats to the World Eater. I wonder if he ends up locking this health for the World Eater. It'd be kind of weird going into level 6, but maybe... Because obviously they want another Hydrex, but at the same time they don't have any level 7 treasures, so maybe they just value getting the health on the World Eater.
True, it could be worth. The best part about this, though, is the element of surprise. This is their first turn with World Eater. They have a chance of knocking out the Razcal player here. They decide to actually throw it back in reserve, looking for more of these stats coming from their slot 5 unit, gaining half of those squidicious stats. So we'll see how it works out. Potential for one of these players to get knocked out here, but also a chance for both of them to survive, depending on the margin of victory. And we also see Swift Wolf in the back there, vying for more options, getting some more HP. We talked about not having the ability to link. Ooh, exact lethal, though, to take it to top 2.
Ooh, the Knowledge Fiend. Maybe,
so,
yeah. That's
a lot of potential.
Good.
We see, though, that Motif got more HP, and I think that was because it looked like Swift Wolf took a loss to the Baron player before we went into that top 3 fight. So it looks like Swift has the time to try and find a solution. They know about this Hydrax. They know about this beast synergy that's coming down. This Knowledge Fiend is new, though. Let's go check over on 10-foot's board. Get ahead of seeing what can happen here. Their own Hydrax offered 2 giant abominations. Still haven't been able to get them together, though. But this Helm of the Abyss causing work, and the Hydrax does come down.
There's going to be a Hydrax versus Hydrax fight. I gotta say, though, Swift probably doesn't know about currently how many squids are out of the pool, which are at least half of them, right?
True.
I believe those were all pickups and not promotions, so this might be tough for him to actually put together a good Hydrax board here.
For now, though, it is more stats on that frontline bus station, which is already getting double the health. And Motif did deploy all of the 7-cost units we've been seeing him pick up. But it is looking rough. The World Eater could potentially minimize the damage with a lucky attack here. Does unfortunately run into the big stuff. Needs to get through some of that small stuff to try and preserve the life total. But Swift Wolf Gaming takes round 2 win.
Oh, sacrifice.
Just kidding. Bit of a visual bug for us as spectators, but it is fine. The action still continues. The sacrifice, important. I mean, Motif Games also sees it. Look at these spell synergies that they have to try and just be cranking out as many spells as they can for as much value as they can. Another Hydrax coming in, too.
Yeah, I was trying to think, is this World Eater worth it for him at this point? Because you lose all those counters. You'll get the big... I guess you're getting double the stats.
So thankfully, the way it works is Hydrax does take a snapshot at the beginning of the fight to see how many counters there are. And as long as the Hydrax is alive, you're getting the full bonus, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's how that interaction works. So you'll see the World Eater go, and these Hydraxes shouldn't lose any stats. They should remain at 8680 until one of the Hydraxes go down. But testing my theory will not happen.
The hard counter.
The targeted strike comes in, and that might be enough for Swift to seal.
I don't know. I think it might have helped them to actually not have the World Eater. Well, yeah, 216 health is a lot.
and once these Hydraxes get down, the rest of the front line, even though they survived the initial onslaught, they do go down.
Yeah. Well, that was well fought for sure. MOTF Games came back from quite a dire situation to get to where that second place was.
And look at that, Jez takes the first place.
Yeah, go Jez.
Just a little fun there, but yeah, we do have our winner for round 2, Swift Wolf, and then we have Motif Games in second, both getting valuable points. I believe that will all but secure it for Swift Wolf, at least making top 8. They took third in the placement 1, so they should be good to go there. We're going to see how the brackets break down. GG's, everyone. I mean, this level of play is intense for our players. I'm sure everyone is racked as far as stress goes. Excited to see how Group A pans out. I think we can peek over. It looks like they may still be in top 2 or top 3 right now, so they're still battling out. So we are not certain who our top 8 are going to be for the next stage.
Yeah, it looks like it might be a close one.
Yeah, it looks like we do have scores coming in. So we're going to head over to a break to figure out exactly who our top 8 is. It should be about a 5 or 10-minute break, and then we will be back here with some Hellfire Tactics action. In the meantime, if you haven't joined the Discord, head there, see some amazing screenshots, see some art, see some pets of the community, and it's got a ton of resources. But yeah, I think we're going to head off to a 5-minute break. And welcome back for all of the Hellfire Tactics Winter Invitational 2022 action. We are getting our lobby made for our top 8. And top 8 is going to act a little bit different from the scoring that took place Saturday, as well as in our first 2 rounds. Gabriel, break it down for us. How is top 8 going to happen? And how do we crown our Hellfire Tactics Winter Champion?
Absolutely. So first place is going to earn you 8 points. Second place would earn you 7 points, all the way on down to 8 to be a 1 point. And you're going to need 10 points total to be considered alive, which would mean that the following game, if you get first, you'll win it all. So this guarantees we're going to have at least 3 games. So we're guaranteeing ourselves no anticlimactic finish here. So it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, everyone get ready to tuck in for 3 games. And I think what's the best part about this is you have 3 games against the same 8 players. They might be able to cue in, oh, this player likes this. Oh, this player likes that. Do not be surprised if some interesting decision-making come out in round 2 or 3. Half this lobby is already played against half this lobby. So there's already some of that, player tendency might be coming through. We know Swift Wolf Gaming likes the 10-foot. I've seen Swift Wolf Gaming snap up that Archdemon, so people might be a little bit more ready for it when we actually do get to round 2 or 3. So it could go also the distance. Not every player is guaranteed to be able to win it come round 3. So we could see some spoilers come in. We could see this stretch out to 4 rounds, maybe even 5. I think mathematically it's impossible to go past 6. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see come, game 3 and beyond, are we going to see a Bro Tusk every game that kind of targets the people that are alive, and really tries to prevent them from getting first.
Yeah, acting as a spoiler. Yeah, there could be some merit in being like, look, all I need is a top 4 to start qualifying at the end of round 2. Maybe I just try to take someone down with me. Maybe I make sure someone stays in. Who knows? But all good players. We've seen some great decision making coming from all of our top 8, which I believe, the graphics is updated with our current top 8. So we've got Alex Weiss, Exasperated Cultist, Swift Wolf, Motif Games, Hunnis Quit, Robs, Lolnenko, and Kival. Yeah, it's going to be a good top 8. We have the lobby getting made up right now. We should be getting our banned out groupings soon. And I think it's going to play a big swing into how it plays. I think there are certain players within this top 8 that really like certain clans. So, if rats get banned out, how does that change the picks of here and there? So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we've seen, now that I've seen enough games of Motif Games, I see some similarities between Motif Games and Lolnenko, for example. Will them now being kind of facing each other several times, are they gonna hurt each other by contesting the same units? We'll just have to see.
Yeah, and we have seen a lot of the same units getting contested. I know in Group A, we saw lots of Buckies all over the place. Never saw an Iron Ogre come out. In Group B, we saw lots of Babam. There it is. I was like, how can I not? It's my favorite little purple bean. So yeah, it could be some overlapping of that. And I think it really does come down to what people find early and what they're gravitating towards early. We saw a lot of decision-making process based on what treasures got offered. I know we had a board with a double abomination getting ran, which was fun to see. All of our Babam players had upgraded Babams, so I feel like at least one of them had to promote into it, so that might have made the decision for them.
Yeah, promote is so interesting. It really kind of gives you direction a lot of the time when you're lacking it, and direction is just the most comforting thing to have in this game. especially when you got that extra added pressure of the tournament.
As well as it can give you that pivot point, which I think is also really big. It kind of like if you're on a greener board and you run into another greener board that looks like it found its comp 1 or 2 turns earlier than you, you're not going to be able to scale faster than it. So if you take an upgraded captain or an upgraded boost, promote it, hit a unit that gives you enough direction, that gives you a pivot point and saves you, the 14, 15, 16 mana over 2 turns that you might have had to take to make that pivot actually happen.
Absolutely.
And it does look like our lobby is created. All 8 players got in successfully, and we are going to be jumping into round 1 of finals top 8 here momentarily. Our bands, Eldritch and Radican.
Poor rats. That's the second ban today that we've witnessed, but you know what? That'll just open up that early game a little bit more to be a little more diverse. And the Eldritch ban is always an interesting one because, Eldritch is a lot different than Rat. They're not, you never run like something like an Eldritch build, right? It's just a lot of different units here and there.
Yeah, very true. As well as Eldritch, I don't believe has a Archdemon linked to the clan either. So no bans from there. But we won't see a Ratch. We won't see a Rattiness. We do see Crowley, Groundsun, Osiricles, Bullhead for the first time I've seen. Guardian Zoe. We have Mechalars coming in with that sweet, sweet skin.
Nice.
We also have a Morg and a 10-foot. Lil Nenko back on Crowley. We've seen him do good work with this character already, as well as the early mana pests for a lot of boards. Look at that, 2 boards already. Aweiss getting it with the mana pests, giving it +2 attack too. Those Bullhead strats, one of the newest archdemons in the game. But Caval, Guardian Zoe, one of the strongest powers in the game.
Yeah, pretty much impossible to lose turn 1 as a Zoe unless you're running maybe a Groundsun.
But yeah, I'm excited to see these bans. It still leaves in a lot of my favorite early game units. I love seeing Sprouts. I love seeing Fire Elementals behind Mana Pests. So lots of good things are happening here. We got Robs on the Lars. Has not been able to find a Mana Pest, so that is unfortunate there. A built-up Anemonot, though.
Right. Yeah, that's two good units, but obviously they would have probably preferred to see the Mana Pest. So far, I think they're the only player that hasn't had one.
Very true. And they're even letting the pair of Bloodsuckers go away just because if they do find a Mana Pest, that's so much gas for an early Lars.
Swiftwolf also on the 10-foot again, so we're having a lot of repeat kind of, the same player picking the same Archdemon. They're kind of in their comfort zone here.
And of the picks that we're seeing, almost all of them are giving bonus stats of some way. And I think that's a good strategy for these first 2 rounds. Right. You want to get top 4. Right now, we're looking for the most points you can get because the tournament's not over at the end of this round. No one gets a first here and gets to claim it all. So it's about high placements first 2 rounds to qualify. And then you want to try and pick up an Archdemon that's going to let you punch through and take the first.
Yeah, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Every single Archdemon here, other than arguably Lars, is a tempo-oriented Archdemon, right? Like they're getting that early game value. The Lars gets it if they find a Mana Pest, but they don't really get it if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of swingy.
Yeah. A little surprised to see the Lars get taken, even though Rats are banned. It's kind of like the other early game out versus the Mana Pest synergy. But it's such a big payoff. We can also see the mid-game Flambar as well as the mid-game Babam comps coming out from the Lars to really take them into the top 4 if possible. But we've got Motif off to a pretty good start. They do get the Mana Pest value at the exchange of only 2 health. So they're looking pretty good going into this level. That 6 mana breakpoint is such a difference going into there of getting 2 3s versus a 3 and a 2.
Right.
Upgraded Mana Pest for Lil Nenko. Also going to be providing some great synergy, as well as just kind of a beast board. And it looks like they had the option of 2 different artifacts. Oh, and we see the speed potion come on down. So yeah, some great synergy here for Lil Nenko. Might not win the fight here against a Guardian Zoe, but should be able to profit in the shops moving forward.
Right. Yeah, the board is not necessarily too strong at the moment, but their economy is definitely there.
And this is the time economy can take over preserving the health pool.
Right.
You're losing the least amount of health at this stage just because of the lower levels. Unfortunately, 4 things do survive, so it's a bit of a chonkier hit. We now have 2 players down to 30 health.
Right.
Exasperated Cultist here, finding some decent stuff. The fire elementals are nice. Get some attack paired off with that natural health coming down. And an artifact decision coming in.
To go with the extra treasure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Wraith Insurance. I feel like sometimes I can choose to proc it going into the next level, but I feel like it's harder to pull off with a Ground Sun of trying to pick when you lose.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of almost like you'd have to purposely lose to a certain extent to try to maybe get it going into level 3 or something. Yeah, I would say I wasn't a huge fan of any of those artifact choices, so it was kind of unfortunate. I suppose extra treasure is always just going to be decent, though.
Yeah, hopefully fix some of your artifact choices later, and unfortunately there wasn't anything tempting in the shop that you'd want the 2 mana for.
Right.
Robs, though, still hasn't found any sort of finale unit to utilize their power.
Yeah, they're probably just looking to stave off as much damage as possible. Unfortunately, here they're going to take a little bit more. If they can just survive till 3, maybe they can get some flambars and get back into this. But they're definitely in a rough spot at the moment.
Let's check in on Swift Wolf with 10 foot. 10 foot doing normal 10 foot things, still at 40 health. Has a promote in the shop, which we're both big fans of.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, could be a big direction shift depending on where he wants to play it. Could also just take the pair of Deleshes right now, try and get a great bite. Opts to buy and sell, cycling that shop. So yeah, looking to lock in that promote. Maybe he gets the Deleshes to either combine into a great bite next turn and then promote it.
Yeah, this is a tough promotion. Honestly, all of them are kind of those promotes that are kind of feels bad moments potentially, because that you get that 23 attack Bloodsucker that you could promote. You got the Dullish you could promote if it upgrades, but it's also like in the back of your mind you're like, I have an upgraded Dullish. Maybe I can just get an upgraded Great Bite, right?
Mm-hmm. Get that Great Bite scaling, get those tokens, as well as it's hard to just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get out of this gigantic Bloodsucker that has the potential of 3 for 1ing with the stats 10 foot's giving it. Unfortunately, not enough to get through all the barriers of Guardian Zoe, Kivil piloting it well. But slaps it down, turns a Bloodsucker into a Clan Lord, and with those bonus stats, that could be a fearsome unit. Wouldn't be to see that Blood Mage get picked up.
Yeah, that's a good promotion for sure. I think he's definitely happy to see that one.
Over here, Robs still has not found a finale to activate that, but we do have some more options now at 4 entering the pool. Flambar, it looks like we are also banking on getting a Clan Lord going, maybe getting some Grek value by giving that bonus hit points too. The scaling could potentially start getting out of control for Robs. At least that's what they're hoping to do. Maybe they go looking for a boost. Maybe it's just, hey, find greeners and profit.
Yeah, I mean, they have a very good artifact set up for both greener or boost, or both boost and Flambar if they can find them. The Force Multiplier plus that Arcane offering is you got that extra links, you got the extra stats. Like, Robs could definitely start to take off here. They just need to actually find those units.
Yeah, and it looks like Kivil has already taken off in some degree. We have 3 automatas hitting the board, spreading out even more barriers for more scaling, which almost feels counterproductive. Automata giving the barriers, and then people scale out of the automata range, but hopefully they turn it into some buckies. One potentially coming down for Robs. Let's check in, though, on Lodnenko on Crowley. We've got 2 players sub 20 health now. Lodnenko up against the 10-foot, which has been dethroned from that 40 health chair. So looks like someone's been able to punch up. Maybe the Mord, maybe the Ground Sun, based on these health totals. But yeah, Lodnenko coming in, got some greener synergy. This is going to be the last time that Grek can pick up a barrier from the Automata. The end will probably help scale up some stuff too. So again, another opportunity to 1 or 2 fights, we might have the stats to profit from this.
Yeah, and we see, Lodnenko rolls past the Serpentinas here. I have to imagine that's probably a combination of not having the extra ritual casting artifact, and perhaps just the fact that they're on 14 health and kind of need some immediate benefit. Yeah, so we see a little bit of a change from the previous games.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a time commitment thing, and unfortunately, some breakpoints just didn't go their way to minimize the damage. So now, sub 10 health for Lodnenko. And again, another big body in the lobby coming at 39 health, Morg coming in. We do get an artifact, and the Vampire Bats is the pickup, which can bail you out. It has certainly saved my skin a number of times.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So it'd probably go on the Grek currently. They could, if they want, they could shift to Grek. It's tough though with that upgraded boost. I can't imagine they're not going to run the Greks in slot 2 and 3. Actually, the Cavalry right now has it because of that Gecko. Slot 4 can work. It looks like they're shifting them around potentially. Slot 4, slot 5, both have certain likelihoods to hit that Vampire Bat. Slot 1 as well.
And this positioning, I think, is my favorite. It lets the Grek get the Vampire Bats guarantee, even after the boost, and then the Grek can probably provide the most value. And this is also decent. With the Executioner's Axe, there's still scaling to be had just by getting a single end in, and a big hit taking out those Blood Mage stats early.
Yeah, that's one of those just huge advantages of Grek. It's like, we kind of talked about it earlier. When there's 8 people in the lobby, you're not really playing into any one player, so you're just putting your best board together. And often that's going to be Blood Mage slot 6, right? And it's hard to predict the Grek. It looks like Morg still takes it here, though.
Yeah, those Morg stats coming in handy. The Flambar doesn't pop, but that is another unit causing damage at the end of that fight. Right,
it's a big Flambar.
Morg has slowly gotten back up to 40 health, and yeah, Rob's also down here in the sub 10 health.
I'm very sad to see that Rob's has not found a finale unit yet. Hopefully we can see a Babam come out, and maybe that will stabilize him. That could definitely get him back into the game if he just simply finds a Babam. But yeah, I'd be rolling to the wind here.
Yeah, and for some of our newer players, I think this is also going to highlight how important your Archdemon selection can be. Because essentially, because of the unfortunate shops for Robs, he's essentially had a blank Archdemon. He's just had 40 health, and that's it to go off of. Because without that synergy, without that activation of his power, it's kind of whiffed. It's why some players are down on Lars, but the potential, that ceiling of making use of those already strong characters just becomes so much more. It's worth the risk. So we're going to see how this one plays out. There is a chance both players survive this fight.
Yeah, it looks like Rob's opted to just not really roll for a finale unit and just take a squid, kind of get some stats on board. It looks like it's going to work out for him here. Probably thinking, I'm going against somebody I can eliminate right now. Just eliminate them now and maybe roll later. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to play the shops you're given. Yes, it's unfortunate that none of the finales have shown up, but there are still tools on the table that we all get to use. So he's putting the use to them. Up here, though, we have Motive Games about to head into our Morg, who is back up over 40 health now.
Yeah, so they got the Lava Golem, which is, the premier 6-cost, give me a treasure type unit, since the enchanted clay can copy it. And it probably just sort of fits the build a little bit here. I mean, it has these not really a full elemental thing going on, but he has some elementals and they benefit from the lava golem. So,
and the ambush tactics will get up and rolling an earth elemental if he happens to find one very quickly. Also provides some other cheeky plays. I mean, a bomb could come onto this board, link up to 3 units very easily for triggers. So Motive Games definitely has some punching power here.
Right.
And get to sacrifice off too, making sure to go as late into this lobby as possible. Honest Quit though, very big upgraded board, got some good synergies. A Great Bite is a-going. A bit of a late Great Bite. Looks like they may have gotten it. Well, they did get it in the last 2 turns, it looks like. I don't see that thing not slaying with those stats.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Morg is you have a little bit of leeway there to, like, I have to imagine maybe they benched it for a bit to try to get that upgrade, and at least you get basically an entire sleigh or 2 sleighs, or ends worth of stats just simply by your Archdemon power.
Yeah, when Morg is getting the triples, it is a very strong Archdemon, but when it does its Silver Beak impersonation, it can drive you insane.
Right. So we get the demon from the Hellfire Pact, probably not going to help them too much, but they could pivot into it.
It would help Exasperated Cultist right now. A fairly sizable demon board with some great backline synergies. Looks like the scaling has gone their way. The health pool is also quite healthy, second healthiest player in the lobby, and they're heading up against our Lives player who was able to squeak out another round with just 1 health. So I think we're going to lock in here, see the action, see what can potentially happen.
Yeah, I have to imagine if Lars has not found Babam by now, it's going to be tough for them to beat this board. Oh, they do have Buckies, though. Those Buckies could soak up some hits. So no Babam, though. No, not a single finale unit coming out, unfortunately, for Robs. Very unfortunate.
Though, the Lars power is not removing extra tokens from the Squid Vicious, so...
Yeah. Yeah, at least that's not a finale, proc.
Yeah, not a finale trigger. But we're coming in. The range shots are good. The big shot getting absorbed by the barrier. The extra damage hasn't been a factor yet, but here comes the first bomb proc. Oh, nope, didn't trade. I know how numbers work.
This is almost a certain point where these fire slingers scale up too big that it could potentially work against you, though I don't think... Yeah, I don't think Robs can take this here, it looks like.
Yeah,
Did you get the vampire... Oh, I guess that wasn't even the vampire bats, huh?
Yeah, I think the vampire bats was on a different target. Yeah, it was on the slot 2 Bucky. But we say goodbye to Robs on Lars, and now we're into the top 6.
The question is, Motive Games doesn't necessarily have... Yeah, it looks like they are picking up the demons. It seems to make sense, right? Like, their board isn't necessarily super strong right now for this point in the game, but if they can somehow pivot to some demons here, that starts to change. I mean, now you get a 46 damage ranged siege unit in slot 1. That's a huge upgrade to the board, right?
Yeah, huge upgrade. Potential of a 3-for-1, depending on where that shot lands and who it lands on. But I mean, you're going to need every bit of attack going against a 10-foot at the stage, given everything 5/5. Those numbers add up quick, but it looks like a couple people have been able to topple Swift. He's down to 12 health, so we have our bottom 2 health pools battling it out right now.
I believe, yeah, it is 1 turn away from double damage, it looks like. So
yeah, a
big
3-for-1 shot though. Yeah. Starting the fight off.
Demon's certainly very contested in this game, it looks like.
True. And as well as already we're seeing, tripled up Red Beasts, tripled up Fire Slingers around here. So the ranged might be able to see them out. Yep, there's the shot. There's the extra damage. And the Hellfire Trap almost gets the tie.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why I'm a huge fan of range. If you have a good range unit in slot 5, I think it's very powerful to do. Obviously, with the Hellfire Cannon, it won't make sense, but Yeah, I think I really like that slot 5 ranged unit because it can often just take on 4 units at the end of the fight if it's kind of just the ranged unit versus the lower attack type units.
Very true, and as well as when people do get the counters as well for like those tank units to get around these Hellfire cannons with siege, you're still running that chance of a 2-for-1. So
Right.
lots of value, and then even more so because of the fact it's ranged and attacking in, yada yada yada. But bonus damage now live, so and that was a good break point for Asirocles that last round.
Yeah, and I gotta say, just general flow of this game is more what I expected to see most tournament, where this has just been very aggressive lobby, right? Like there is no opportunity at all to be greedy. Or you're dying so quick because of these tempo champs just putting these giant boards together.
Ooh, Swift Wolf bringing in a ton of tempo.
Yeah, he probably is not caring that he's down a unit here, because these are pretty big units.
Yeah, the charge Yeti with overkill, stunning 2 units, getting another attack with overkill. That is a 4-for-1 slot 1 Yeti.
Yeah, not too shabby. 4-for-1 is yeah.
Yeah, thankfully Alex Wise does get the captain proc though, which might save them enough health to see another round.
Right. Yeah, it should.
Yeah, left at 2. And our Asirocles is out. We are now into the top 5. Ground Sun, though, has claimed their stay at 28 health for quite a while. Morg still up there at 43 health. Swift Wolf putting it together without the use of links, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, that promotion is pretty typical of 10 foot, where it looks like it got the Unholy Flame. So that's that unit in slot 3 that, if you weren't 10 foot, could give you basically what we see here, a bunch of barriers. It's always a danger with promotion on 10 foot. I still think you take the shot. I like the promotion, but it's like it just often is a miss, kind of.
Yeah, but what is nice is typically with promotion, you're at least getting more stats. The base bodies, it's worth it. And at the end of the day, sometimes 10 foot, that's all they need. Stats.
Yep, exactly.
Caval, though, going to be difficult to overcome with this many barriers. Changing around some placement, though, trying to get these finales to potentially trigger. But we also have a strategic gamble on their board, so I guess, let's see how it shakes out.
Yeah, that's a tough strategic gamble to have with some of these units, but I get it. You're on 5 health. You're trying to just eke out that last placement. And right there, that's pretty good, right? 20 archers coming in.
Yeah, very good. Just that bonus stats. We also see the Iron Ogre tech come out for the first time today.
Yeah.
Actually popping all 2 of the barriers. So I guess the strategic gamble actually worked in some way of making sure that, hey, not as much value came out. There weren't as many shields to pop.
Right.
Great.
Does look like
on the Abomination.
Yeah, that unfortunately will do it though for the Zoe here.
Yeah, Battle of the Captains there at the end.
Right. Another thing we see is like a lot of what I call soup builds. Like, you don't see too many full greener builds, no full demon boards, because of the tempo that's been present in this lobby. It just has not allowed players to be able to fish for those full boards, right?
Yeah, and I think these players are also all privy of, if you don't get it early, don't overinvest. So we didn't see anyone pick up a boost the moment they could afford a 4-cost unit or anything like that. I think that's also kind of deterred it from that, whereas we do see a couple of great bites floating around because they did get hit early.
It's like Swiftwolf does has that nice combo of the axe plus Hellfire Cannon slot 1. I do wonder though, would they be better off with that Yeti in slot 1 still? I guess the trade-off is the Hellfire Cannon isn't too useful outside of it being in slot 1. Maybe that's the kind of the thought there.
Yeah, I think the hope here is Yeti takes out a corner and helps the Hellfire Cannon potentially take out something that doesn't have tank. So look at this value.
That was supposedly a good stun until it unstunned the unit.
very true. Ooh, some overkill coming in. It looks like Hunnis Quit was able to put this early Hellfire champion.
Yeah, it looks like it's.
Hell Raider.
It looks like it was that the recent promotion because it looks upgraded. That's a lot of stats.
Lot of stats, and
Yeah.
it looks like we're into top 3 now. Our Minotaur or our Bullhead player did get knocked out. It looks like by our Ground Sun player. Which, yeah, that's a big, hefty, magical board. The Enchanted Clay comes out one step closer to a level 6 treasure.
Yeah, it looks like they're choosing to field the Lava Golem instead of the Imp. Perhaps the thought is they've got enough scaling on the Fire Imps, or the Fire Slingers, and they do get a little bit of extra damage on that Fey Fire Golem by fielding the Lava Golems, so they're just trying to maybe put in as much damage as possible here, especially going against the 43 health Morg.
Yeah, and the difference between, 15 attack versus 8 attack on the back line could be the difference maker.
I do wonder if perhaps they should move Fire Slinger to at least one of them to slot 5. They can put any of these elementals in front of Babam and they kind of serve their purpose, right? But might just not be something that they're at the forefront of their mind, because they do get a lot of damage by putting the Fey Fire Golem linked with the Lava Golem as well. So I can see that as well.
Yeah, I mean, still getting the range shots from the Babam potentially, but yeah, this Morg is bringing the stats.
Yeah, there's not much you can do against that right now.
They have found their way into the full demon board. I think we should probably just follow the Morg player for a bit, try and see what they're going to be bringing in to see about knocking some players out. Yeah, Swiftwolf, although against the Ground Sun. So potential here to secure second for one of these players, depending on how this goes.
Yeah, and if Swiftwolf can maybe get a Hydra, like they don't have many counters, but there is a world where that Yeti could go back to slot 1. And if you can get it enough attack with the overkill, there's definitely a chance that it could overkill the demon player's Hellfire Knight. And if that happens, he'll win the fight pretty big. But that's the only realistic path I'm seeing at the moment to beating that demon player. This is, of course, assuming he can beat the Ground Sin, which we don't really know is true at the moment. I think this is a good plan, though. Put the barrier on that Yeti, your highest attack unit that at least has charge. Technically, the Abomination has higher attack, but yeah, I think just getting that double strike in early with the overkill is going to be pretty strong.
Yeah, hopefully it is. The charge comes in for a big attack, gets some overkill value, regular attack goes off, and hopefully it survives that hit too, so you can get that 85 damage spread out at least 3 times.
Right.
Here we go. Right. That overkill does weaken some of the attack, and we do take out the Babam before
and and the range units were stunned there.
Oh, yeah. The tank served its purpose, still stunned. The fight RNG definitely going Swiftwolf's way. Yeah, those stuns may have secured Swiftwolf's health pool.
Right. So looks like Swiftwolf will have to face this demon board.
It also looks like our Morg player lost some hit points to the Ghost. So some shenanigans took place to take out that Rider, and I think you called it, of if that Rider goes down, that comp is severely weakened.
Right. More engines. I guess most of their stuff already has Siege. They would go with the conscription. Makes sense.
And that might be that they want to do some more treasure hunting, and or that Ghost pointed out their weakness of if something happens to that center unit, which is susceptible to assassins right now, things are going to happen. So yeah, it looks like that Grek.
Yeah.
First attack probably went in, took out the shield or the Iron Ogre, and then the Grek came in, took out all of their health and attack.
Yeah,
that's a board of 10/10s.
Right, and this is a match where that Eldritch ban is very in the Morg's favor here, because this would be you'd have to have your Grek uh, prepped by this point to actually use it for that, but you could, if there's Eldritch here, just run an Archeros on any unit you want, and then you can easily kill that. Although it looks like QT doing the smart thing here and just fielding a low health unit to prevent. Wow, he actually loses here though.
He does lose here, and I think it was just that Abomination getting some 2-for-1s, the positioning of getting more attack on that Hellfire Cannon to get around that Vampire Bat resummon. So yeah, some favorable combat RNG still keeps us at 3 players.
Right. And now that they kind of know who they're going against, if they're mindful of the Eldritch ban, they might be better off just not trying to put that boots down, because there really is no danger of a assassin hitting their demon. It's really just overkill at this point that's going to be their main enemy.
Yeah, overkill, which we do know Swiftwolf has on 10-foot.
Right.
We also know that Babam triggers could potentially do some work. We not upgraded Babam, but at Hellrider did have quite the HP pool to get through. Yeah,
that's the benefit of it. It must have had happened through promotion, because that thing is very large.
Yeah. Exasperated Cultists taking a very pragmatic play, though. They did pop a sacrifice. They are up to 11 despite their health not being accurate on the left-hand side. So if they can't pull it through, they might still have the pool to survive now.
Right. Probably if the backline. So there's the 6 damage. Any upgraded unit would be 2 damage. Any unupgraded unit would be 1 damage. So I believe if some combination of that backline survives only, and all the front line is dead, but it doesn't look like that here, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunate. The Hellfire Cannon's providing too much value. 13 damage gets through, and we're in a top 2 situation. Exasperated Cultists, Swiftwolf Gaming.
And this is probably the one build right now that can take this demon player out. 86 damage, though, is not necessarily the breakpoint that he needs to be at. He really needs to pick up maybe even run the A-bomb slot 1. I'd have to double check. Even 146 might not be enough, though, because I think it's 80 health that those frontline demons are at, around there, something like that.
Yeah, it's about that, but I also see the Abomination wanting to be next to this bus station. Hellfire Cannons are starting off that attack chain.
Right.
So you got to be able to survive the siege damage from somewhere. So it's a bit of give and take. It's a matter of, do you think you can pull it out towards the end of the fight or the beginning of the fight? And so it may just be tank through what you can on the front line, and then as soon as that rider goes down, whatever's living could potentially clean up. We're going to see how it shakes out in 3, 2, 1.
He did find another death Hellfire Knight, which makes that overkill even more unlikely to actually hit.
Yeah, but the Yeti coming in with the stun, making their first attack come from slot 5.
Yeah, that's definitely... And wow, it still survives, though.
These breakpoints. Thankfully, that Hellfire Cannon still stunned up in the front, misses its chance to attack. First Hellrider down. Now it's just a little baby of a Hellfire Cannon.
Wow, he takes it again here. Wow,
I didn't. Stats go a plummeting.
The Yeti stun is just so clutch here.
And it is with the Yeti upgrade stun, those 2 stuns is really the breakpoint I think we should be looking at.
Right. Yeah, so really the overkill not even that needed here, because of the stun just putting in so many. It's probably, demons getting stunned is pretty hard counter, as we're seeing here.
Yeah, taking away that massive advantage of range, not taking damage when they attack is proving to be fatal. And as well as having that Hellrider in the back attack in against this large Abomination, that can just be enough too to completely disrupt the plan. So
right.
Leaning a little bit into the fight RNG, but you know what? It's an out he's playing to, and so far it's worked.
Yeah, it looks like he ups to cast Devastation Armor on the Abomination here, which in the context of having the Helm of the Abyss, is an extra 20 HP, which is definitely potentially pretty good there. I mean, now it's so many attacks that have to happen on this abomination. I actually think Swift Wolf is going to run away with it here.
Yeah, we do see a bit of a lineup change. No overkill coming through. That entire back line is stunned out, though.
Right.
They're free, though. Some range damage coming in. But yeah, this Hellfire Cannon shot should be the last of it.
Yep. So Swift Wolf pulling it out there, and they 1 HP. You always gotta respect that.
And I believe that's back-to-back wins for Swiftwolf, too. At the end of round 2 for Group B, that was a 10-foot win from Swiftwolf. So yeah, what a game indeed. Swiftwolf pulls it out, gets himself 8 points. Again, this race format, it's 10 points in order to win it all. So we are going to go into a round 2 with no one able to actually win the tournament, but this has made Swiftwolf's journey that much easier.
Yeah, he just needs to not get 8th in the next game, and he should be live, I believe.
Yes, but there is a chance, something strange happens and maybe he doesn't become live. It's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. I think what makes this race format a little bit more compelling too. There is no automatic easy. You're going to have to stay focused. You're going to have to stay on top of it. And these are the players to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we'll see. So that we witnessed a pretty aggressive tempo lobby there. It'll be interesting to see if the same thing occurs now. I would suspect that that's the case, but you never know. The interesting thing to me is once players are live, do people start switching away from tempo play and start to become more greedy and really try to maybe go with something like a Demonstra where you're either going to get first or last, right? I could see that changing, yeah.
I could certainly see it happening. And as well as with this next game coming in, these players have already played 3 rounds. We are going to give them a little bit of a break, use that bathroom, refill the waters. But yeah, I think that is going to be a big thing to watch of the Archdemon selections of do you take those extra swingy characters? I would not be surprised those that qualify round 3 take that shot. You have the best chance of reaching for the stars and trying to get there without being overly punished in the sense that you might not take first, but the tournament might still continue.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think Archdemons that come to mind that fit that bill. The first 2 that come to mind to me would be Demonstra and Gordo. Maybe Orbis as well. Orbis is very feast or famine, right? Like you either get those early promotions or whatnot. Yeah,
my brain also takes me to the newest Archdemon, Verfel. Verfel comes in, gets some really good econ plays going on. That means you can potentially get an early upgrade, find that early promotion, or just find things like greeners faster than anyone else. If you get a shop offered with 3 of a kind of something, you get the Verfel to make it cheaper. All of a sudden, you're a turn or 2 ahead on that curve. Could really pull out the stops.
Yeah, and especially, you get those ritual spam artifacts with Verfel, and you can get crazy economy there.
Yeah, but we are still in round 2, so I think tempo is still going to reign supreme. But like always, one of my favorite things about the game is the unit bans. Depending on what gets banned out, we will see big decision shifts happen.
Absolutely.
Warden is one to watch if that gets banned out. That means no mana pests, so the econ is a little bit more level across the board. Potentially, demons just get banned outright. We saw demons very contested that last game. We see the power of a ranged unit on 4 and a siege range unit on 6. So, yeah, lots of things up in the air that we're just going to have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. And, I got to say, I love how game to game, different builds have been winning each game. It just kind of shows how the meta really isn't solved at this point. There's not one thing you can just force every game and have it work out for you. So people are really kind of letting the game tell them what to do, right, and trying to adjust accordingly.
Yeah, tons of different ebbs and flows. I mean, once you get into top 3, top 2, you can also improve your placement drastically just by countering one of the other players' boards. Kind of just let, the two lower health people take each other out, and then if you can find the counter to the healthy person in the lobby, you have a shot at just taking it all the way. So lots of counters provided, especially through things like Coven and Eldritch, so those have a lot of toolbox units that are available too.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I don't believe we've seen any tribal specific archdemons get chosen. So like, something like a Rattiness or a Hag. I don't believe we've seen a Demonstra
come out once or twice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I think in one of the games we didn't cover, there was also a Demonstra. Right. But yeah, very general units. I mean, there's some argument for Bullhead, but the fact that Bullhead does convert things into beasts on their own, it's not so much a clan dependent character. So
right.
Yeah,
Bullhead's an interesting one. The way I almost see it as like, the way I read it is all my units will get 2 attack more or less, and 2 additional attack. And if I find a Hellhound early, my whole board will get the benefit, and if I find a Hydrex late, my whole board will get the benefit.
Yeah,
I think very flexible, I guess.
I think if we do see kind of a clan-specific Archdemon come through, I wouldn't be that surprised to see a Fallen one, just for that early tempo. If they find the Hammer of Destiny, making all their 2 and 3 cost units warriors, that can sure up your early game, so you can get the time to find your late game comps.
Right. I wonder if we'll see an Eyes eventually, because I know at one point Eyes was technically the highest win rate Archdemon. I don't know if that's changed since the shift of Hellfire Cannon to a 6 cost, but
and I think that's the difference between ladder and tournament play. In the ladder, it's okay if you're telegraphing, you're against kind of a bit more range of players, so you can get away with that a little bit more. I know in all of my games, if there's an Eyes in the lobby, there's also Demonstra. They always come together, it seems like, because people like playing demons. It's a very straightforward comp, and it's very friendly to the ladder too. I know when I'm on the ladder, I'm watching TV, listening to some music, trying to do homework or schoolwork or whatever. I'm distracted sometimes, so it's kind of nice to have that automatic pickups.
So you're just kind of autopiling a lot of time on ladder.
True. But here in the tournament, it is a different game. Speaking of different game, it looks like we have our players ready up, so we will be getting into our second round of top 8.
Ooh, okay. Now I got some bands that we haven't seen today in the ones we've casted, at least.
Yeah, that is Elemental and Atlantean are getting banned out this time. We'll be showing that shortly and seeing who gets picked. I mean, Atlantean Elementals, people I don't think we're going to see. Gordo should not be picked here. Too many large, good quality units are out of the pool. We're not seeing them. Elemental's gone. Joe Binks is probably off the table for anyone who gets offered it. The magical synergies might not be coming through. And again, we see immediately a lot of tempo.
Yeah. Now, I think I like the pick here from Lil Neko. He has to make up quite a lot of points this round, and Pandara is one of those feast or famine type archdemons. So looks like they kind of miss here. I mean, the stealth is okay, but obviously they probably would have preferred a siege or range on a bloodsucker.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like we have Swift Wolf picking up the Lars. They were not deterred by the previous Lars's performance, so they are in it, as well as maybe they just get better shops this time around. We still have a lot of good finale targets available, so we'll see how their early game pans out. Let's also head down the line. It looks like we have 10-foot Razcal, another Morg, Guardian Zoe in here, a Crowley, and a Ground Sun. So a lot of the same archdemons we've been seeing for the day, and there's merit for all of them. A lot of these are just free stats, that tempo, and I mean, Guardian Zoe, I don't know how you would pass it if you get offered it.
Yeah. I mean, we already see, Swift Wolf already getting more Lars value than Rob's unfortunately got all last game. Even if even if he never finds a Flambar, at least he has a Mana Pest.
Yeah, at least he has some econ going in. He also has more outs with rats being available.
Right.
Just a couple of more finales.
Right.
Exasperated Cultist, though, on Guardian Zoe, getting a nice Sprout built up, and Swift Wolf already getting the Sprout double for that artifact.
Yeah, that's why I love Sprout so much. It's very hard for me to pass up a Sprout. I think I might even... On a Lars, obviously, a Mana Pest is better, but in a general sense, I may even value it even like on the level of a Mana Pest in a general sense.
And in my back of my head, I want those Sprouts too whenever I see a Morg in the lobby, just to make it harder on them. I don't want to see that gigantic Sprout coming around the corner.
Yeah, the 10-10.
But Motif already finding a 10-11 Bloodsucker.
That is a lot of overkill.
A lot of overkill. It is going to get the chance to attack with that Mana Pest with 0 attack in front of it. So it's a weak board in the sense of it's not many units, but this one unit has such a potential to carry. Look at that overkill coming in 2 for 1, and it should have the stats to clean up the rest of it, even against a Ground Sun.
Yeah. Ooh, Mana Guardian. Not so good without Elementals, though. It's still like an okay pickup, but it's significantly worse, I would say, when there's no Elementals present.
Yeah, none of those cheap 2-cost magicals that you can just buy, sell for stats, or even just bank the mana in case you need it.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's check in on our Razcal player. We haven't quite gotten to see everyone's board yet. Hunnis Quit is doing some ratty things, using those free stats. I love this positioning. The Bloodsucker, you're trying to get the most value out of, giving it a little bit of extra hit points. Everything else is on an attack generating slot for those double rats that are coming out.
Yeah, Rat Skull definitely interacts with rats quite well. It surprisingly well, in fact. Put them in those odd slots where they're gaining attack. And I've had games with Rat Skull where I've had a rat mirror match with a rat that had Potent Brew and I didn't have Potent Brew, but simply the odd, just that 2 attack from the odd resummon was enough to like beat some early like rats that were just simply bigger.
Yeah, and the benefit to Razcal has over something like Ratch or Rattiness is it's not a telegraphed play. Like these stats are going to be coming down no matter what, so you're kind of open to any comp. But these large health range units are going to be enough, and the Hammer of Destiny picked up too. So the Unholy Warrior that scales up warriors might be coming down for a Ground Sun soon.
Right. And I think I really like Unholy Warrior in these lobbies where, I mean, it definitely looks like another heavy tempo lobby. Maybe not as much as the last lobby, but still up there. And the Unholy Warrior is just a good unit on its own. It's not like an Imp Lord where it kind of isn't that good as just a 4/6 or whatever. But, the Unholy Warrior scales itself. It scales the board. It's just a little more tempo friendly.
Yeah. And we saw Lul Nenko there briefly on Pandera. They pulled out the good Pandera tech of getting your first unit that you get a keyword on and then tripling it up right as you level. So you get a second keyword. Unfortunately, it ended up stunning Strike and Hidden, which is kind of the low rolls as far as Pandera powers go.
Right. Yeah, perhaps now, since it is a Bloodsucker, they might be looking to try to just fish for a promote and then lock it into a new level. Then they could maybe, you never know, get maybe a Clan Lord or something. And then it's guaranteed to get either Siege or ranged at that point.
Mm-hmm. But here we are seeing lots of rats pop up on everyone's board right now. Very good tools to get through the early and mid game. So not too surprising, but I think we'll see if someone hits an early potent brew, they might lock in rats and try to power level those as quickly as they can. So that's pretty cool. A snap pick adventurer's ring for the warrior synergy. I mean, everything that is level 3 and less now is getting +4/+3. So,
yeah, that's a gigantic tempo swing there. That's one of the better early combos you can come across.
Yeah, and open to everyone, as well as probably needed against this healthy ground sun.
Right.
Let's check in on Swift Wolf, who seems to still just be rocking the Mana Pest, is upgraded now, though, so is going to be having a ton of money as long as that's popping. Also trying to get some overkill synergy going on.
Yeah, and that extra money, they're unfortunately on pretty low health, and their board isn't weak, but it's definitely not strong. When you factor in that most of these boards are pretty gigantic. I think it will fare well here, though, it looks like. Yeah, it will fare well into this. The nice thing about that upgraded Mana Pest, though, is now that he's going into level 3, he can probably justify hard rolling for a Flambar.
Yeah,
with all that extra mana.
Certainly. Or he'll just hit an amazing shop of some kind. We do see an early boost. Could be a flag to just start jamming some greener value. Does take the sacrifice, get some more health up. Does take the boost snap pick, and then might just be rolling for greener or Flambar, whichever comes up first.
Yeah.
Although the Unholy Warriors show up.
Yeah, I could see the Unholy Warrior here. It still scales. He has the hammer, so it'll scale the whole board. It could help him stabilize, and he could take that now and then roll for Flambars later.
Very true. Let's peek over, though, to Razcal, the opponent this time around. I'm just so excited. This is my pivotal turn whenever I'm playing on the ladder of like, okay, now I might find some of my comps. So we see the Razcal player picking up 2 key demons here on the turn, trying to get the scaling happening as quickly as possible on that Fire Slinger.
Yeah, and demons are also pretty decent on Rat Skull. You know, the Rat Skull Archdemon power does fall off a little bit come level 3 here, but you know, the one thing that is a bit weak about Fire Slinger is the turn it comes down, that 3 attack is not so great. It looks like it won't matter here because they unfortunately got hit. But you know, the 5 attack, you know, it just gets it basically an entire level of scaling ahead by slotting it in an odd number on Rat Skull.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're getting pretty wrecked here.
Yeah, can normally save you some health. However, yeah, Swift Wolf getting some really good fight RNG, that overkill providing a ton of value. Let's jump over to Pandera, though. Want to see where that next Pandera buff landed on. So we're going to do some searching. We've got the pair of Buckies coming down, which is great. We have, it looked like, was that a ranged Mana Guardian? Yes, it is.
Ooh, that could be good.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing the demons come out, the Blood Mage come out. Look at this Link. I mean, one build around character that has ranged that shouldn't can really elevate a Pandera. Would not be surprised to see this get tripled and then maybe promoted into something else.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, they can't hyperscale it the normal way you could with elementals, because you're basically looking at the cheapest magical unit would be Mana Guardian itself at the 3 cost. Otherwise, you're looking at 4 cost and above as your magical options.
Yeah, I think that prioritizes the promote way to get some more stats on this big ranged unit. Right. Yeah, I mean, you can see, even though the Bloodsucker already has 2 keywords on it, it's benched. It'll probably get turned into 1 mana at some point. But these barriers taking away any overkill value.
Bucky is the worst enemy of Underguardsman.
Yeah, the overkill and extra damage stopper in general feels nice. And
really good ranged hit.
Yeah, the fact that the Buckies live to make sure that ranged goes off too.
Right.
And now the range stands alone and will be enough to tie this fight up. Ooh,
Albert traps. I gotta say though, even though he Lilnenko lost that fight. Didn't lose it by that much, and I still think that slot 5 range paying off there. It took out, I think, at least 3 units
Yes.
on its own.
Tons of great value. Does find the triple for it, so there are some serious stats. The Arcane Offering also coming down lets this Blood Mage spread out some more stats in a little easier positioning. So all sorts of things up in the air for Lilnenko still. Let's check in on Motive. Motive Games here on the Morgue does seem to have a good pathway into greeners. They've got some scaling kind of all over the place. Another player with an upgraded Mana Guardian.
Yeah, this is interesting. It looks like maybe they are kind of trying to get that full greener thing going, but it'll be tough to pivot to it, I think. 18 health is not necessarily that much, and greeners kind of have some weak moments before they can really get a full board together.
Yeah, I see an out here for Motive of if he can get to a level 6 treasure and find Bloodlust, this Grek can turbocharge a board. Even if it's not a full greener board, just being able to have a consistent proc for that treasure can be an out. And Bucky is a way to help you get there. He has one upgraded, he has one regular, it's scaling. The Vampire Bats, though, on Rob's board, providing a ton of value here. That's, just some more damage coming into Motive.
Yeah.
The Archeros pickup, beautiful tech piece, giving more things Assassin. Maybe looking to replace that Sprout, but over here on Lilnenko, down to 7 health already. There's a lot of great scaling opportunities abound, but name of the game of this lobby is tempo. Like, we're seeing 10 foot up at the top, we're seeing Ground Sun up at the top. As far as health pools go, no one wants to go out early.
Right.
Yep, Targeted Strike, great pickup here, could provide some immediate value.
Yeah, that's a really good spell to cast. It's gonna be so. It looks like, what did they buy? Did they buy an Implord? So that would have got Stunning Strike, right?
Yeah, Stunning Strike ended up on the Implord.
I guess that's okay.
You want to see? It has a niche application that I don't think you can entirely count on, but yeah, it could trade into something, stun it, and then allow that ranged Mana Guardian an attack here.
Right.
I think we've all seen the surprising Ice Elemental from the backline stun a critical feature, and that change up everything. So definitely not down and out.
But I would say, in a way, that Tangle kind of helped Lilnenko out there. About his best range unit to fire twice.
Just a little bit. Thankfully for Lilnenko, the captain didn't get any spawns. That could have spelt some serious disaster.
That is the Fire Slinger's worst friend, is captain. You got the Bucky for the Underguardsman, but then you got the captain for the Fire Slinger. Those are units they don't want to see. Ooh, the Babam pickup, nice.
Yeah, with Greener, Demon, and Rats all available, you can kind of see a bit of a rock, paper, scissors. The captain loves seeing extra damage that comes from the demons. Rats, though, have all of those extra bodies, which extra damage is great against. But you also have just the Rat's ability to overwhelm with things like Ghoul Hand, Ghoul Juice, and can really get over the top of even those captain summons. So there's a bit of a give and take there.
Yeah, it looks like Kibble must have promoted upgraded Mind Sapper into that Abomination. That's going to be very good with Rats.
Yeah, that looks like a tripled up promotion. So yeah, upgraded Mind Sapper into upgraded Abomination, it looks like, this turn.
Yeah, that'll scale pretty fast. That's 4/4 per death, so you got the potentially 6 plus currently 3 resummons. That's a lot of stats. Yeah,
a lot of stats, a lot of synergies coming in here, and in kind of a blessing almost going up against Guardian Zoe. You know that they'll be able to get through a lot of these bodies, but at the same time, you'll have this giant Abomination to clean up.
Right.
Like,
you almost want the fight to go the distance just so you get all those deaths.
Like, it's looking close, but then you just see this abomination, started out less than a 30-30, is now a 60-56
Yep.
and climbing.
Yeah, basically double the stats and then some.
Yeah. Kuval punching back, Exasperated Cultist now sub 15, and we have Pandera sticking on at 2 health, having to come up against this giant abomination now. Kuval finding another treasure. Do they curve more into rats? Or maybe even just skip here. Lolnenko, though, over here still has some demon synergy. They did decide to pick up the ritualistic amulet, so curving into that Crowley power of more rituals coming out. Lolnenko looking for the most strength. Love the Babam pickup. Just always. It's always time to Babam in my book.
Yeah, it's never a bad thought. I will say the current board is a little susceptible. It'll be fine into the Crowley here, but there is, if anybody's running Grek, it's a little susceptible to that right now. That he might want, he'll probably have a good sense of who's running what coming up here. But while there's still 8 players, it might be a little tougher to predict. But I do like the double Babam. It does protect against like a single Grek, for example.
Also a great hit taking out that Tangle, because that could have
deterred
some of that Babam's energy. The extra damage coming in pretty nicely. The amount of range, too, is going to be very helpful to get over the top of this abomination, which is the big task at hand. We essentially want every Babam shot, at least one going into this. Yeah, taking out the rest of the board. One more Babam shot coming down, and now it's a matter of combat RNG. Can the range get there? It does not look like it.
Yeah, just too many stats, unfortunately.
2 rounds of abomination scaling, and that thing has almost hit triple-digit stats. Lolnenko, GG's. Rough.
Yeah, they were almost there, right? Like if they could have not ran into that right then, they probably could have turned the corner with that board.
If they ran into any other player, they would probably be in here.
Right.
And also just great job for that abomination scaling. Getting it early, keeping it in, that's probably in for the rest of the game. But also, I've seen some players take those big stats, promote it, and just try and find new synergies on top of big numbers. Exasperated Cultist, also with a Mind Sapper in hand, could get upgraded into an upgraded level 7 via promotion. So lots of wild cards still around.
Yeah, this is interesting because they have the center of the power, but they also have the strategic gamble. I get it. It's 4 health. I get it. You want those stats, but there's definitely a little bit of YOLO moments going on here.
Yeah, doesn't get an Archeros in the slot, but you know what? A 15-12 range unit is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, definitely. This might be able to. The Underguardsman's pretty big though, and it did kill the captain. At least the overkill hit the Bucky. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing though.
I think it's a good thing. It didn't take a unit out entirely. This Bucky's large enough to survive the hit.
Right.
The range unit getting some value. Now it's just Bucky and arranged, but this Underguardsman, gigantic. Ooh. And the raw range stats seal the deal.
Yeah. Not too bad.
Let's check in on this Morgue player sitting at 5 health, and they are up against our 4 health Guardian Zoe, so could be a potential knockout here. Another player rocking an Archeros. Nice big stats, given a Bucky assassin, trying to get the most use out of this slot 4 barrier character. But we also have a ton of Greener synergy coming in. We have a Strong already.
Yeah, this is very, it's starting to develop. Still has that problem of the 5 health, but this really is going to come down to where I think the Zoe's gamble ends up. I don't see a clear advantage at the moment between them. They seem to have very similar stat lines. So really just, does that Archeros go in the center? Then it probably is the center. If it does end up in the center, I have to imagine that Zoe wins this, but...
Well, also, Exasperated Cultist does hit their own Mind Sapper into another Abomination. Doesn't seem to slot it in, though, to start the scaling. Just, that strategic gamble could put it in the back. We do get the Archeros landed in the center of power.
Now, is this it could be a visual bug at the moment. I think it's a visual bug. Yeah, there we go. It's, I think it just took about 1 round for that center of power link to show up.
Yeah, with the switching of units, they hold on to it until it's back to your initiative. It's just a visual bug, though, so all of those stats were present, and it does give the ability for Exasperated Cultists to live out both of the Rangers living knocking out motive games. Ooh.
So that is a comeback. You gotta love I love the pickup of Strategic Gamble. I think if you're playing on your back foot, it's just a pretty good pickup.
Yeah, I'm also a giant fan of rocking that promotion again onto that Abomination, turning it into a Wraith Queen, which does synergize really well, but it also looks like we found an out of Strategic Gamble. This is going to be a nightmare for the rest of the lobby.
Right. It is susceptible to targeted strike, but because of the low health on the Forsaken Knight, it at least is not susceptible to enemy assassins. And overkill is going to be tough to pull off when you have 3 barriers up front. So really it's just targeted strike that would be the main thing that they would be worried about, I think.
Yeah, and they are up against Cabal on Crowley, who did not get a targeted strike off, but also doesn't know quite yet that they are a center of power comp. They are just power leveling this Abomination, which is probably breaking the 200 mark this game, or this round.
I think with the Shadow Blade, though, that Abomination is not going to have a good time.
It really isn't. I don't see it getting back to the back line before an assassin comes for this Abomination. Archeros having ranged means as long as it's alive, it's given us an out.
Right. And maybe even without it, that Wraith Queen added a pretty good amount of stats that I don't see this Abomination able to do it, it looks like.
It's going to get some value of getting to just attack twice, minimizing some of the damage, but oof, what a big hit. 12 damage, knocking out our Crowley player. We also lost our Razcal player, so we are up to the top 4 from top 6.
And you know that this is a different experience than ladder, because I can't see myself ever getting bottom 4 with the board we just saw from that's the Morgue player, right? With the Abomination. But yeah, they get bottom 5 with a pretty gigantic Abomination. This kind of just shows how powerful this final 8 is here.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And if you also look over to the left, we have a player at -1, -2, -5. So that is going to be the tiebreaker for which position you get out, even if you get eliminated in the same round. So might be an important detail for points going into the next round. But we're over here on Alex Y's board. Some pretty intimidating stuff. Another player that's still rocking a late strategic gamble for those bonus stats. So we're going to have to see how this fight shakes out up against 10-foot.
Yeah, I got to say, from what we've seen so far, I think that the Zoe has a pretty big advantage over the current boards. But you never know. The Frosted Axe could get picked up. Even though there are all those barriers, it still could hit the Wraith Queen.
Rob's,
there's chances.
Has taken a commanding rat board into the late game.
That's a lot of stats.
Strength in numbers, Potent Brew. They already have 2 rat sports looking for their next one. And unfortunately for Alex Y's, they got some pretty hard placements from that strategic gamble. Thankfully, still at 2 health, still in it.
Right.
Let's check in. Oh no, the Lars player got knocked out, which they were up against that Guardian Zoe, which we know has a big intimidating board. Can we just click on the Lars player for just a moment? I want to see what they went out with.
That's not going to beat Shadowblade.
Not going to beat the Shadowblade Archeros center of power, and that's just a lack of information. They haven't seen each other. Exasperated Cultist has had this comp now for 2 rounds. So that is just an unfortunate of somebody hit, you didn't know about it until it was a little bit too late.
Yeah, you can't predict that. Ooh, that explode. The eruption might be pretty good into Zoe though. It won't kill the Archeros, but it will take out all these barriers.
Yeah, and it will also
And
take out some significant players too up front,
right,
like before they can get the stats from the Wraith Queen. Like we love seeing ranged when you have a big Wraith Queen like this, but if it goes away before it gets the stats, that could
yeah,
be the difference maker.
absolutely, yeah.
So
And all he needs is one win here. Like if this is kind of the bamboozle, right? Even though I think
and you know what,
they do go
that Lars
first now.
board, that Lars board that went out was strong enough that it might be able to take on the Ground Sun. We could
Right,
see Robs take first right here. These
right.
rats, I think, are big enough to get the job done. Although these notches coming out
I think
could be a big difference maker.
I think that Wraith Queen going first kind of saved the Zoe here.
Yeah, it got everything just above the 1v1 trades, and with Shadowblade and the Archero surviving, yeah, everything is going to be trading quite effectively on Exasperated Cultists.
Right.
Yeah, takes away half of Rob's health, and I hate to call it, it's the caster
Ooh.
curse, but the Ground Sun does get knocked out by the Lars board. A very strong board, but again, it just happened to go up against the board that perfectly countered a World Eater.
Right.
So
There's a knowledge. Oh, right. That was it. The Ground Sun's board.
So we've got Robs on Rats with 10 foot going up against a very powerful board with Guardian Zoe. You've got the shields to overcome, you have an Archeros you want to try and take out, and you have a Wraith Queen to try and bamboozle.
I wonder if they'll end up selling their bench for that eruption. I have to imagine that they do.
I also wouldn't be surprised if they sell out and just buy some sort of dinky unit. Unfortunately, as 10 foot, you are giving everything so many stats.
Right. It's still going to be a 13,
even a
13.
2-2 sprout is turning into a 13-13
Right.
with all of the other synergies you have going on. So we're getting into it, and it doesn't look like a shop locked for Robs. This could be the final fight if it plays out the same. Yeah, here it comes. Opted to go the full rat board, skipped out on the sprout.
You know, with Zoe finding that haste, I think it was just too tough. Even the eruption probably wouldn't have helped much here.
Yeah, also just this change too. This captain getting moved to the back to see if it can refill the front row. The slot 4 barriered range is also getting, the potential of 2 or 3 for 1-ing quite easily. Even the notch survives. Exasperated Cultist, though, a commanding win here at the end.
Yeah, that was, another example of just kind of nearly going out, but making the right play at the right time, picking up that strategic gamble, and then later on replacing it after they've kind of stabilized and really set up for that Shadowblade play. That was just a really nice progression from rough position to actually winning that lobby.
Got it. And I think this is probably a good point to take a small break. I know our players after that one are probably going to need to stand up, stretch. We also need to do some point calculations. I want to make sure that we have numbers figured out for who's going to be in the hot seat. And I know myself could use just a small little break. So we are going to take just a 2-3 minute break while we get all of that taken care of. And we are back to the Hellfire Tactics Winter Invitational. We are about to head into round 3 of our top 8. And we actually have 4 players who are in the hot seat. Gabriel, how about you break us down who is in the hot seat and can end this tournament in first for us?
Certainly, yeah. So we have Exasperated Cultist from the last game, who took first with the Guardian So. And then we also have Swift Wolf, Hanues Kuti, and Alex Weiss. So those 4, if any of them can get first within this next match, they will be crowned the champion. If not, then more and more players will start to become live, and it'll just get that much more intense. It's a kind of a win-win situation for all of us here.
Yeah, and there's 2 factors to think about. If any of those 4 players take first, tournament is over. They get first. It is all down to points then to figure out the rest of the placements, and they will take the crown. However, if we have the other 4 players, that's Motive Game, Robs, Lolnenko, or Kaval, if they get first, if any 4 of those players get first, we are going to another round, and then points do become important again in the sense of that's going to figure out the seeding for 2nd through 8th. There is prize money on the line. This invitational does have $1,000 complete prize pool. So players are still wanting to do as good as they can, no matter what. And also just seeing the plays coming out of these players, it's going to be a hard knock. But Gabriel, do you think we're going to see a shift away from some of these tempo stat first archdemons and maybe some more of these higher rolly characters that we were discussing earlier?
I kind of do suspect that. I also am very curious to see if a Brotusk does come out. You could, if you have in your, say you're one of the players that is not live, I could see taking a Brotusk and saving 1 banana for each of, the live players being a totally legitimate strategy, right? And with how close these lobbies have been, that's going to be 10 health or so if you use it on level 3, and that's enough to be the difference maker, right?
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Robs in particular takes that route. They're currently sitting at 9 points, so no matter what, they will become live next round, so they could act as a spoiler to make sure those top 4 have a hard time.
Right.
But this round is getting made. It is live. We are looking at an Eldritch and a Vampire ban.
So there'll be no Knowledge Fiends in this game, making, hyperscaled units a little more valuable.
We're also missing out on some Mind Sapper getting up there as well. We saw a couple of different Mind Sapper promote plays. We also saw a lot of use coming out of that Archeros.
All right, we get the first boss Veratu of the afternoon, I believe, which is one of my favorite archdemons, so he's happy to see that one.
Yeah, Heinous Quit on the Boss Veratu, on the best skin for Boss Veratu, in my opinion. Coming in. We do see our 3rd 10-foot coming into the game. We also see the Baron, Ground Sun. We have an Inferna. We also have a Rat player in the lobby. We have the Rattiness coming in from Kaval. Silverbeak, also an interesting pick, and very excited on my end to see Batty Bat coming through. Alex Wise piloting that.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting. Really, only the Inferna, I think, to me, fits the bill of an all-or-nothing archdemon here. I would consider all of the rest of these very tempo-oriented. So it looks like they are still kind of skewing toward that, it seems.
I also see, though, the Baron has that out of just hitting these treasures a little earlier, of yes, they get tempo. However, if they hit the right treasures at the right time, some people might not be able to catch up.
Right, yeah, Baron's great. One of the best archdemons in the game, in my opinion, specifically kind of because it fits both those bills, right? It's like it kind of is a tempo archdemon while also being a high roll archdemon. You kind of get 2 in 1.
And for me, it's hard to keep track of what those level 7 treasures, those artifacts are actually doing and which ones I can leverage. And I feel like whenever I need one, I miss it. So for me, for the Baron to just get exactly the 6 cost treasures I want with so many outs of being able to buy 5 cost and 6 cost units, it does provide a potent endgame if you get
right. Yeah. I don't think you miss out too much with a lot of builds on not being able to get a 7 cost treasure. Those 6 cost treasures are just quite powerful.
And
Every
Swift
now and then you might wish for a Ghoul King or a Madness, but it's not like too gigantic of a hit.
and already off to a great start, picking up the rat bait, which means even easier access to more upgraded treasures. They may become the predominant rat player.
Yeah. The meme is that Baron is the best rat archdemon, and I think it's pretty accurate.
Let's actually check in on the rattiness. Already down to 32 health. Caval has found some rats, though, so this might be the turning point. Does elect to upgrade their other rat can. Yes, you want the upgrade. Yes, you want the artifact, but now you have just less bodies to get that archdemon power.
Right. Yeah, this is one of those tough decisions. It's like you're kind of giving up tempo here to set up maybe a better mid game. And they'll certainly have a very strong mid game with the Death's Contract here and double Mana Pest, but definitely probably at risk of losing this next fight.
If we can, let's try to check in on Inferno really quickly. We did have a level up. Want to see what their unit is.
Ooh.
An early Serpentina into a free mana. That is an excellent hit for Robs.
Right. Yeah, probably arguably one of the better ones. With Vampire Band, I think it might be arguably the best one other than maybe a Bucky. Obviously, Blood Mage is always a great one to get if vampires are open. But yeah, definitely I wouldn't be sad with a Serpentina.
I mean, I would have also been happy with a Demon Pivot, an Implord or anything like that, but a Serpentina now means lots of spells coming down before anyone else can grow it. So,
right.
Big hit there. Let's check in on 10 foot. I'm not actually sure who is piloting the 10 foot this time. It looks like it's Motive Games. So 3 different players taking 10 foot, I believe, over the course of these rounds. And yeah, looking like we also have lots of beasts floating around. We've got some Doleshes, we got some Anemonots, we've got the Hellhounds giving those bonuses. So hopefully seeing some scaling coming out here.
Yeah, Motive is set up pretty well here, I would say, with that Axe plus the Doleshes. Assuming they can upgrade that Dolesh before it pops, that's going to be a very good unit for 10 foot to kind of build around.
Yeah, has a potential. Also, there is a world that with just these stats, maybe it's 2 unupgraded Great Bites. Have one in 1, have another in 4, or another in 5 slot, and just could be, with this Executioner's Axe, enough to get them to be big late game threats.
Right, yeah, and you can never underestimate the unupgraded Great Bite. It's actually still quite a good unit. You could almost compare it to an unupgraded Weirbeast on average. It's somewhat comparable.
Yeah, very true. And yeah, getting that early could be a thing, but we get the triple. We get the upgrade, and we're bringing in another artifact for the 10-foot player. Wraith Insurance is the pick here, which kind of makes sense. With 4 upgraded units at this time, everyone else is probably rocking a 7-unit board. You might need that Wraith Insurance to bounce back a little quicker. Exasperated Cultist over here on Silverbeak is doing Silverbeak things. Lots of pairs, lots of beast synergy as well.
Looks like they must have promoted into a Bucky there. It doesn't look upgraded though.
Yeah, so that was just the blind promote, which has worked out well. I mean, I'm not scoffing at an early Bucky. A little bit of extra scaling. I mean, we also have some scaling from the Death's Contract. So if and when something does get tripled, you're still keeping on some of these stats. Yeah, those tangles are a growing. Rob's, though, putting up a good fight. Unfortunately, though, doesn't quite have the health to live through the Silverbeak and is going to be taking a little bit more damage for their effort.
Right. I would say, though, all things considered, only losing 3 at this point in the game against the Silverbeak is probably a good sign as an Inferno. Even though they're kind of bottom health of the levy right now, I think they could probably... Squid's not maybe what they want to see here, though, unfortunately.
But do you take it as a promote target potentially in the next turns? I mean, it's decent tempo. It's coming down as an 11-11. I mean, far bigger than some of the other stuff in shop.
I think especially considering your lower health total, just taking it makes sense. You could also sell a unit off for that Bucky, so you get two pretty good adds of tempo units to the board. And then you, like you said, you do have that future promotion target if you see it, and just get a 6 cost ahead of curve.
Let's check in with our Batty Bat player. I don't think we've checked in on them in a bit. The Inferna does elect to take the Bucky. Rob's probably still thinking about that squid, but over on Batty Bat, we do see the squid take up. Batty Bat is heading into our top health player right now, the Baron. So we get to check out 2 other boards here. Yeah, lots of beasts on Batty Bat, showing that they're getting a good use out of their power. And some scaling coming in too. It looks like Swift Wolf did get a promotion off, thinking that might be the
Magicus, maybe? No, maybe not. They have the...
it must be the Magicus, or they'd have a 5-cost treasure. So it looks like they leveled up a 3, promoted it into the 4 cost. That 3 gave them the Vampire Bats. Actually, a really good hit for them, considering how many rats they have, and we'll get them through the mid-game. Alex Weiss, though, chance to promote, takes it. Implord could provide a pivot point. Still plenty of time to find some Fire Slingers. Still has a chance of getting this Delesh to flip. Might need to get away from it if it doesn't flip this turn, though.
Right. The nice thing about the Implord upgraded is it doesn't have that downside. 14-15 is respectable stats at this point in the game. So if they can pick up some demons, they don't have that downside of kind of fielding a wasted slot that Implord kind of often is to try to get the scaling going. So it's like not too bad of a hit to their tempo if they wanted to try to field a demon board.
For sure, those stats are nice. And speaking of stats, we have Heinous Quit here. They got their own Great Bite. They're starting to scale up their own things. We also have an early boost coming down, so maybe they lock into it. Bosferatu getting into any comp early feels good, just so you can buy those cheap units and then sell them off again to get that attack really high up there.
Right. Yeah, you like to see things that can scale your health, because you know for sure you're going to have attack scaling on Bosferatu. So Sharks, Boost, anything that can kind of give you that extra health is going to be great.
Yeah, being able to go up against the Silverbeak with pretty sizable board too is a good sign. Good pulse check.
Right.
We're also noticing this round, I think the players are starting to get a feel for everyone else in the lobby. Health pools are a little closer together this time around, at this phase anyway, than we saw in round 1, and it's been improving between the rounds. So we have our Baron players spamming some snowmans in the top corner. Let's jump over. Yeah, Swift Wolf finding all the rats.
Brew.
Yep. Looks like
and the strength. That's gonna be tough.
Yeah, they are trying to do their best to show that Baron is the predominant rat player. That is probably what is in that skins bag of just all the rats.
Absolutely. And we see even more rats coming in that shop.
Yeah, we have Motive Games though. Featured right now, has some Implord scaling for the fire demons or the fire slingers. Also a very attractive Great Bite, 38-33, coming in with plenty of scaling. So
this is kind of the nice thing about 10-foot is they end up being pretty good for demons, because making this play right now on a lot of other archdemons would almost certainly lose you the fight, but because your units just plop down with these stats, you're able to do this and actually justify getting them scaled up and actually get some sort of a direction here.
Yeah, and also Motive taking the cue from what you've been asking some other players to do, having a Fire Slinger in 1 and 5, just trying to optimize that range. But they're able to find an upgrade for the Fire Slinger, so condensing that into 1 unit, we'll see where it ends up playing from. Let's check back in with Aferna. I love the character. I want to see what unit came down. It looks like they should have been offered a 6 cost, and it looks like they may have passed on it.
Oh no,
they just promoted into that rat sport. So
it's right there. It's the
they
Fanatic.
had a locked shop. So here comes the Fanatic.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of finding the Fanatic there.
Yeah, that's a rough one to find. It's a great unit. It has its place, but its place isn't to stop the floodgates. Its place is to go and plug up that one hole you have, which is World Eater shaped usually.
Right.
So Rob's here looking for an out of some kind. They have an Earth Elemental to scale. It is an upgraded Earth Elemental as well, so it's going to be getting quite the amount of stats here. The Buckies are also really nice. The Rat Sport kind of just feels like a body to have. It's got no synergy at the moment. It is just a stat stick.
Yeah, it's too bad that they don't have the safety helm, because Rat Sport in front of Serpentina with safety helm is actually really good. You can often get 3 different units out of it, since it could resummon into a rat that also resummons.
Yeah, Alex Weiss, though, putting out bigger stats, almost knocking out Rob's. So we have Rob's at 2. We have our Silverbeak player at 9. This is where that health divide is starting to get a little bit more separated.
Yeah, there's a pretty big spread right now in this lobby. The Baron has only taken, 1 loss, it looks like. And
1 loss for Baron.
Yeah, and they're not looking like they're going to lose anytime soon with those potent brew rats going on. And I think they're relatively uncontested, other than the rattiness, of course. But
Exasperated Cultist does have a chance here. The more rounds they see, the more boost scaling they're going to get. Having double upgraded boosts onto a captain is going to make this captain quite fearsome quite quickly. Wonder if they do take the ritual, and this is going to be very nice. A little bit more scaling too on the boosts. Also the Fire Slinger. They got a shot here to preserve their life total.
Yeah, and I think I like this decision to really feed the captain, because that's going to be the way they beat these lobbies right now. They're not going to have the time to try to scale up. Like, they could, an alternate thing they could do is put one of the boots in slot 6 and then, get half the scaling to the captain, but also have the boots scale each other. Overall, in the long run, that would end up giving you a lot more stats, but unfortunately, it's just those front line there is just too high of attack. Still alive, though. Still alive. Thankful for Exasperated Cultist. However, Rob on Inferna does get knocked out. So we are in our top 7. Let's check in on our rat players right now. We have Rattiness, who we haven't seen for a bit. Caval here does have the full rat board. Has some good rat treasures, hasn't been able to find the potent brew though. You can see that they're digging for another Magicus. At least that would be my out right now. Oh, they find it and they miss on the artifact selection. And I will say, with their Archdeemon power and the Ghoul hand, they're probably okay to miss out on the potent brew. Obviously, they'd like to see it, but I wouldn't count them out necessarily. It could come down, if it is a rat versus rat board at the end, just to who can get that rat swarm first, or maybe a frosted axe first. Very true, but Swift Wolf is also hedging his bets on rats, finds the Abomination Eldritch Pack treasure. So with this Abomination, looks like he's had it down for at least 1, maybe 2 rounds of just that scaling. All of these rats, bringing out more bodies for more Abomination scaling. So going to be a heavy contender. Also has another potential Magicus locked in too for even more rat synergy. Ooh, the Babam though could do work. Yeah. I really like Babam on Basratu as well, because you can, along with the Babam effect, you actually can make a serviceable ranged unit out of it with your Archdemon power. Yeah, and this is such a smart play here of
Swapping out the center of power for the Babam rather than trying to greed the greener scaling. It
Right.
just presents a stronger board that round. You there's always going to be a part of us players that want to just scale beyond belief, but
Right.
definitely the right call. Preserved the health. They survive now into the top 6
Oh,
as our
wow.
Silverbeak player did get knocked out.
Apparently, Lonego also on full rats. So we got 3 players, full rats here, and Lonego has the potent brew as well.
And the strength in numbers, which might
Yeah.
push them over the edge of the other rat players at the moment. The Abomination, though, is concerning. Alex Wise also picking up an Abomination, and it looks like has gotten some pretty good upgraded targets. We have a Strong, though. I don't think they're going to be able to pivot into it. They could be looking for another promote.
Yeah, so I'm guessing, yeah, that Strunk must have been some promote, and I can't imagine they're super happy with that. But maybe they could turn it into a Hydrax or something. Obviously, they need to pick up some squids at that point, but
they do sell for a bucky, find a boot camp, which hits the bus station, which is now starting to scale. So
yeah,
great time for this to grow. Is actually going to be a very useful tool against how many rat players are in the lobby. If that gets big enough, it'll be able to 3, 4, 5 for 1 even.
Right. Yeah, there's some of these 6 costs really benefit particularly from getting upgraded. The station is basically twice as good. Other ones, you don't care too much. Like a Fnatic, for example, isn't really going to change what it's there for. It's just there to kind of counter a World Eater or whatnot.
True.
Upgrading it doesn't change that too much.
And Alex Wise has just a nice slot of scaling. The Abomination, the Werebeast, the Bustation, all getting a lot of good stats against these Ratter players.
Yeah, and that Bustation, it could farm a lot of these rats. It might kind of, as you said, like it could 2, 3 for 1 maybe.
Ooh, it does look like our Bosferatu player did get eliminated. So we are now left with quite the array of boards. 3 rat players. What's 10-foot on these days? Motif has found his way into a very strong demon setup. So we've got, lots of things happening here. Lots of rats abound. We've had a lot of rat bans, and this is them seeing them come out in full force.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, so Alex Weiss is live. So this Batabat player, the Baron is live, Swift Wolf. Is that it of the top 5 here?
Swift Wolf, I believe Motif is. Alex Wise, and that should be about it. I forgot my list of 4 players, so over half the lobby has a chance of winning this. It looks like we've started to update our own sheet, so I think the numbers might be off a little bit just because of placeholders happening right now. But we are seeing Alex Wise struggling to stay alive. Big range shot for Lil Nenko to make sure that they're able to take this one.
Yeah, it's tough because even though these are along with a strategic gamble, you got a lot of stats, but these rat boards are strong rat boards. They're not weak, and you just don't have enough stats.
Yeah, Caval a little late to the party on the Abomination to just get the stats over. So we're down to 2 rat players and 2 other players.
Yeah.
We are in top 4. And I believe chat has it right. Alex Wise and Swift are able to take it all here. Alex, though, on the Batty Bat, trying to come back a little bit more of a spread out comp. We're going to see them go up against Motif Games here. These demons, though, this large siege engine could be the factor that puts them over some of these rat players. But again, the Baron off to a great start, off to an early treasure combo that might seal the deal.
Yeah, demons is definitely something that if it can get going, it can beat these rats. Unfortunately, I just don't. It needs some gas right now, and it's might not have enough time to get there. Luckily, it's not against the rat right now, though, right? So we'll see.
Yeah.
It might not be. Demons might not be too good into this sort of large stat beast combo, though.
Alex Wise also taking some immediate stat value from the strategic gamble
Right.
does give them some really good siege engine value. So that might be the scaling Motive needs, but it might
Right.
be the stats Alex needs to survive. Ooh, doesn't get the end. The Bucky barrier causing a lot of value swift. The vampire bats also keeping the great bat alive. The
Ooh.
great bite alive.
Yeah, that was pretty clutch.
Oh, and these break points too. Just barely. Oh,
Exact lethal.
Exact lethal. So Alex is out of contention. So it looks like if Swift Wolf can take it here, he can take the entire tournament, but he's going to have to come over some pretty big boards. Motive Games is set up well for it. Let's check out the Ground Sun board.
I think they might
also
have.
on rats. They did hit Swarm Tackets off their rat sport upgrade.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That is definitely pretty good.
It's also hard to trade out any of these treasures. At some point, you
Yeah.
might want to get out of Potent Brew and just go treasure hunting. I don't know if
Right.
it's time is now being in top 3. Does take the Vampire Bats over the Potent Brew.
I think it makes sense. You're not really looking to spam your stats at this point, and if you can somehow get a vampire to hit, then that probably wins you the fight.
Yeah, get that rat sport nice and big. It looks like a stick rat in slot 3 though has the Vampire Bats proc on it at the moment. Or
I think
maybe it's the Magicus?
I think it's the Magicus. If I'm not mistaken.
It's not the rat stick, so it is going to be the Magicus in the back.
Motive having a pretty good pivot here, though, to the beasts.
Absolutely. I wonder if Motive is going to recognize, though, it's all rat players from here.
Right.
Lolnenko does take the fight. Lolnenko now gets the ghost fight, so they're going to have an opportunity to hopefully leverage something. Swift Wolf still on the rats. The Abomination is getting large. They've also hit their swarm tactics. So both rat players on swarm tactics.
Yeah, Swift Wolf is looking quite strong here. Like they kind of have it's hard to beat this board because you have the normal benefit of the rat swarm tactics, I mean. And a problem with swarm tactics, the way you beat it is you just somehow survive the onslaught of the front line, and then the back line usually isn't that powerful. But when you've got an Abomination at 140 attack and 137 health, that kind of mitigates the downside of what swarm tactics can kind of run into sometimes.
Yeah, very true. Some clutch barriers, maybe a large enough tank. Motive has some outs to defeat some rat players. And if he can get it, it might be just enough. Let's see how the value goes here. Not the best hit, and the siege engine might not be big enough to be getting the value he needs. But
Yeah,
the
there's a
more ranged attacks, the better.
brutal hit on that bite too.
Yeah, didn't get any vampire bite or vampire bat great bite value out of this time.
Right.
The squid does survive. We're trading decently, but yeah, just does not have the attack enough to get through a rat sport and an abomination.
Right.
Might survive here with 1
HP.
and not out. Does get the ghost fight, can get more stats, but maybe it's a matter of just hit the right treasure here.
Might
A
look
frosted
for
axe.
Yeah, Frosted Axe, or maybe just picking up Psychops would not be bad. Psychops can often eat up some of those hits. You still need to somehow get a backline that can deal with that A-bomb, though. You might even run a Fnatic. I don't know. That could be a point where you start to think about Fnatic, but on 1 HP and not much mana left, there's not much to speculate on, unfortunately.
Yeah, thankfully they do get the ghost fight, so they potentially have another 12 mana to find a solution. Lolnenko, though, is going to be coming up against the Baron on Rats as well. So we're going to see how these two face off against each other. And yeah, that looming abomination in the back.
Right.
Depending on how the attack order shakes out, looks like Lolnenko is trying to get the most use out of these auxiliary Rats.
You know, there's a chance, though, that Nenko could snipe that abomination here and one-shot it. I'm trying to think how the math works out here. I think it could happen.
Yeah, that last auxiliary rack just attached for 166, so it could work out. The backline is now open, seeing where these go. The ranged goes down, though.
That was probably, that was not a good set of hits.
Not a good set of hits, but more information getting found out between the boards, and the health total is still there. Lolnenko might have 1, 2, maybe even 3 more fights. A double abomination could be a line into a level 7.
Yeah, I would be open to that. I mean, Ghoul King would be a pretty good one. Granted, the only problem there is they only have 3 rats right now that resummon, so it might not be super great for them, but it could open up like a Death's Champion.
Yeah, very could open up some other routes. Motif, though, back against Ground Sun, is bringing out the side chops.
I like it. I think it's one of the best units to counter swarm tactics with. That's probably one of the top units I look for, but we'll see. We'll see if the, ooh, that was a good hit. I guess not, though, because...
Yeah, good hit is not the break point you need.
Right.
If we had only gotten a little bit more scaling on that siege engine, which, if Motif survives, maybe he looks to do the +10 attack down on the siege engine, get that to be a favorable break point. Rats, also like elementals, not the most health typically.
Right. Maybe I was going to say maybe the vampire bats could get him there, but no, there's just too much.
Yeah, the swarm tactics will seal it out with that rat sport backing it up. So,
right.
Lolnenko versus...
Yeah, rat fight.
Rat fight. Let's take a look at the Ground Sun, which feels like the underdog player. You know, Lolnenko has to come up with something. Maybe they find the abomination. Their weighing out, is 5 health going to do it? It's probably a better pass. 5 health is a lot at this stage of the game. Looks like they are starting to roll down, though. No abomination coming through. Let's check in on the Baron, though. We've got Swiftwolf, who is also piloting rats and has an abomination that's about to break the 200 mark. Also is still just potent brew scaling. That's giving a little bit more oomph to the swarm tactics, even for those late resummon rats. And they do have more resummons than Lolnenko. Lolnenko did take a free mana, trying to find that abomination. Finds a Death's Champion, but without the treasure, might not be worth the lock. They are taking it, though. So, could just be a matter of, let's make a big rat sport.
Yeah, I could see maybe cutting one of these auxiliary rats and slotting Death's Champion in the back. I think that could make sense. It's not a lot, but it is probably better than the auxiliary rat, I think, just because the upgraded rat sport will give it a decent amount of stats on all of those resummons. It's probably not going to win the fight, but it might give him an extra turn. I don't know, though. I think maybe maybe just try to YOLO on that abomination upgrade might be the way to go.
Yeah, these breakpoints unfortunately favor Swiftwolf just a little bit.
Right.
Even the attack straight into the abomination is not enough to take it out. The rat sport does survive, does take off another 2 damage from this hit, so that's 9 damage coming in. We've got at least health for one more fight for Lolnenko to act as the spoiler. Swiftwolf is in the hot seat, so if they take this win here, they're taking the whole kit and caboodle.
They took the Death's Champion. I had even wondered if maybe it was worth just casting the YOLO for the A-bomb there. The what do you call it? The Sacrificial Pact or the deal with the devil. Sorry.
Oh yeah, deal with the devil, take 5 health, get a random 7.
Right.
It very well could have been. I mean, the health, 7 health is not any different than 2 health this stage of the game. If you're losing a fight, you're out of here.
Right. Well, we'll see what this ends up looking like. I think I'd rather have the 43 attack Oxrat in the back just for the swarm tactics, like stats.
Yeah. Fully expect Lil Nenko to use the full amount of time here, judge out a couple of different positions here to see what is going to be the best bet.
Right.
It looks like the rat, the Magicus in slot 5 is going to have the vampire bats, which we haven't seen get any value yet. So maybe that's the slot that has the magic. A stick rat gets stunned, which is probably the best thing to get stunned. We definitely didn't want an auxiliary rat to get stunned here.
Ooh,
the champion does pop early.
Yeah, it might seal it.
Yeah, the A-bomb is just continuously growing alongside the rat's work, also growing.
Does get the vampire.
Does get vampire value, which is great. If the abomination does get taken out by the ranged,
all right,
we have a game on our foot. Vampire bats again triggers. So yes, the magic of vampire bats saves us this time around. This is huge, because if Lil Nenko can pull out this win, we get another round of Hellfire Tactics. But it's going to be a heavy task. If it's 8 damage a turn, we still have 4 more wins Lil Nenko needs to try and pull out.
I gotta say, if he just finds that A-bomb triple and gets Ghoul King, Nenko will have a huge advantage at that point.
Yeah, very, very true.
Unfortunately, I'm trying to think, Baron got that from the Eldritch Pact, right? So it's not out of the pool?
Correct.
Oh,
and
there it
is, which we can, I think, sell for. There's a bit of visual bug. I think it was at 3. Decides to take a different route, buys some other units just to clear it out of the shop. So, yeah, might be one more fight to survive, and then potentially a level 7 treasure.
Can't imagine that these get taken. I guess you could take safety helm, but that doesn't seem worth.
No, with how much value the vampire bats got, the strength and numbers plus the swarm tactics, it feels like every stat is needed. We did cycle 2 things out of the shop, so who knows what comes in after that. Fight RNG will be the difference maker.
Oh, the overkill.
Overkill Frosted Axe from Baron, the power of getting those 6 cost. Oof.
Oh, the double overkill. Yeah, that's tough to come back from.
Especially taking out that Magicus that carried so many times.
Yeah.
Also, Swiftwolf picks up their own Unholy Champion. So, I mean, body-wise, the Snowman Shuffle is coming out for each one of these summons. Swiftwolf feeling real good about themselves right about now.
Yeah, I do wonder if maybe it was worth just selling off some of your board and just YOLOing for the Ghoul King and get that A-bomb triple. It's hard to know though, right? You don't know if your opponent is going to pick up the Frosted Axe like that. With what the board states were at last time, you might think, hey, I might just win this fight and try to get that A-bomb, right?
So Swiftwolf in the hot seat, round 3 does take it. GG's to all of our players. This has been so much fun. We do get Swiftwolf crowned as our winter champion.
Yeah, that was very well played.
Yeah, not a bad. In 3 rounds in the top 8, they take 1st, 4th, and then 1st in round 3 to wrap up the Winter Invitational. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. We are wrapping it up for the day. Thank you all so much for being here. Gabriel, thank you for casting with me. This has been an absolute blast. I know that I'm excited to go and watch all of our players. You can even see in chat that we have an inbuilt feature for streamers to see, so you can find them, be a part of the community. Gabriel, where can our viewers find you if they want to get more of that soothing analytical voice of yours?
You can just my same name, Gabriel, on Twitch or YouTube. I try to upload YouTube once a day, and I stream on the weekends, usually about 10 a.m. Pacific. What about yourself, Bonk?
Myself, you can find me at The Lord Bonk. You can find me on Twitch. You can also find me on Twitter. That's where I give a lot of my notifications for when I go live. I'm one of those classic 9 to 5 workers, streamers on the side. My consistent nights are Fridays. I try to do something on the weekends. The Sunday slot's been really good for me. And if you follow my Twitter, you'll be able to find those extra bonus streams when work doesn't kill me and I have more energy to stream. I like bringing the energy. I love bonding with the Hellfire Tactics community. So I hope to see you in Hellfire Tactics. But I think that's it for us. Huge shout out and thank you to Happiness LTD, a huge part of our community manager within our Discord, as well as tournament organizer, as well as Jez. You're my favorite dev there is as far as any game goes. You're also the guy on the backside doing so many other things, pushing the buttons, getting the views, doing this live stream, a little voice in our ear as well, giving us a ton of props. Thank you both. We can't have this much fun without either of you. So please pat yourselves on the back and go take a nap. You've been awake far too long.
Absolutely.
But I think that does it for you. The Lord Bonk here, Gabriel over there, signing off. Everyone have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the games, and may all of your lobbies be full.
Thanks, everybody. Much love. And until next time, peace.